The Department of Agriculture says it does not have funds to compensate farmers affected by the foot and mouth disease outbreak. Some MPs have called for relief for small-scale livestock farmers who rely on sales for survival. The department says current resources are being prioritized to control the outbreak and restore normal operations. The department says any compensation would depend on a formal state of disaster declaration and verified data from provinces. Assessments are still underway to determine the full impact on farmers. Deputy Director General Dipepe Neneng Serage.
Unfortunately, we do not have the funds that we have now are dedicated towards controlling the outbreak and getting the country to normalcy. But of course, we do sympathize with farmers that have lost the production as a result of these outbreaks. And unfortunately, we do not have the means at the moment.
And finally, Colombia's president has announced the end of peace talks with a key rebel group in the latest blow to his fight against armed drug trafficking factions. The BBC's Mimi Swabe reports.
Gustavo Petro took office in 2022, intending to reach peace deals with the various armed groups vying for control over Colombia's cocaine trade. But with the end of his term fast approaching, no significant progress has been made. A former guerrilla fighter himself, Mr. Petro has instructed his peace commissioner to review the government's approach to the Calacar, a dissident group of the disbanded Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. He said the group had dedicated itself to killing soldiers and had not met drug eradication goals. Colombia's largest criminal group, the Clan del Golfo, has also ruled out a peace deal.
Recapping the top stories, Zambia has executed the August 2025 High Court in Pretoria's judgment, which entitles the government to repatriate the body of former Zambian President Edgar Lungu for the purposes of a state funeral and burial. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
A very good morning to you in your SFM sports headlines. Cricket action. The Proteas women's captain pleased with the series win after annihilating India. And we also bring you Mamelodi Sundowns dropping points for the first time in 2026 after being held to a 1-1 draw by Stellenbosch. We'll have details around 6:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Very good morning. A couple of items that we're watching this morning. A big truck crash by Warden. Both the left lanes are closed, Durban bound and Joburg bound, for recovery of this two truck crash just by the Warden North exit. Right lanes are open to squeeze through, but just a bit of caution and care required getting through there. Keep an eye for you also on the N1 South coming out of Pretoria from Montana down to Stormful. Traffic moving okay at this stage. A little bit later though, likely to be held up as those roadworks continue. Breakdown on the N1 South going down to Winnie Mandela to watch out for as well. Durban, Cliffdale, Key Ridge looks all right at this stage. No major problems, nothing broken down there at least. That's good news. And if you're driving into Cape Town, N1 inbound looking fine from Belleville, Brackenfell. The N2 going into town looking half decent as well. And that running from Khayelitsha, not the usual queues at this stage. And Baden-Powell likely to be slow along the coast at Strandfontein. Traffic lights at that Strandfontein Road junction. Still short timing. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The National Briefing on SAFM. Clarity, context, and conversation. This is where the day begins with Cathy Mohlahlana on the National Briefing.
It's 6:07. Good morning, South Africa. Welcome to the National Briefing. My name is Cathy Mohlahlana. I trust you're having a good morning so far. It's the 23rd of April, Thursday morning. We're getting ready to almost wrap up the week that has been. So what can you expect coming up on the show this morning? As the Office of the National Police Commissioner comes under renewed scrutiny, former Intelligence Minister Ronnie Kasrils joins us in the second hour to help us make sense of the moment and unpack the stakes. We then turn our attention to the ground, where governance is not just theory but it is also lived reality. In Municipal Watch today, we see a fierce pushback against proposed tariff hikes in Msunduzi. Residents are being asked to pay more for water, electricity and other services in a municipality already hemorrhaging millions through losses and inefficiency. So citizens are saying they will fork out no more than what they already have. We'll get to that in the 8 o'clock hour. And then we'll also examine a story that looks at dignity within the economy. Major retailers are now scrambling to respond after a sweatshop scandal in Newcastle exposed workers facing long hours, poor pay and unsafe conditions. It raises uncomfortable questions about supply chains and corporate responsibility. And then also to watch for this morning, a political fault line that could reshape the Tripartite alliance. Today at 10 o'clock, the South African Communist Party and the National African Conference will both hold separate media briefings at exactly the same time, both addressing the same issue: dual membership and campaigning across party lines. Is this a coordinated message or a public display of division? Remember, Thursday also being the day of the ultimatum issued by the ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula. So we'll bring all of that over the next 3 hours as we work our way to 9 o'clock. Of course, we'll also have your latest headlines, markets, traffic and weather updates. And we invite you to keep in touch on the various issues as they unfold on the show. The numbers to dial this morning, 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107. That's where you can send your WhatsApp voice notes and text messages, 0614 104 107. This is the National Briefing.
Down Products is a proudly South African family business, started more than 30 years ago with 12 geese and a piece of material. Makoti manufactures duvets, pillows, sleeping bags, and high-quality Egyptian cotton linen. Our Down products are suitable for people with dust mite allergies and come with a lifelong guarantee. And we offer a nationwide cleaning service for all your feather and down products. Visit us at makoti.co.za or call us on 041 9922 For quality down, Makoti Down.
Top Billing is back with a bold new chapter and fresh new faces leading the way. Get ready to experience the world of luxury, travel, design, and inspiring stories with new dynamic presenters, including Zosbini Tunzi. They bring their unique style, energy, and perspective to every moment. The all-new season of Top Billing premieres on S3 Thursday, the 30th of April at 7 p.m. Repeats Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. on SABC 1. Top Billing is back. You don't want to miss it. But let's get into your morning papers, 12 after 6 o'clock. Let's look at what is making headlines on the country's national publications. I'll start with the business day. Eskom wants tariff relief fast-tracked, and that is a request from Eskom to the National Energy Regulator of South Africa to fast-track its application for a 54% tariff relief for ferrochrome majors aimed at securing approval by the end of May. It follows an agreement between Eskom, Samanco and Glencore and Mirafe joint venture. If endorsed by NERSA, it will see Eskom receive a share of profits if the global market landscape shifts and profitability increases for Glencore. So it's really around the mining industry and how to I suppose, support the mining industry in the midst of these escalating energy prices and to protect against closure and the exit of some of these operators. Human rights body may turn to Parliament for binding powers. This, I think, has been quite a blow for the South African Human Rights Commission. The Constitutional Court yesterday upholding a ruling by the Supreme Court of Appeal, and now the South African Human Rights Commission says it's considering approaching Parliament to pass a legislative amendment, giving it the power to make its directives binding. The Constitutional Court, in a crucial judgment on the scope of the Commission's legal powers, found and maintained that its directives are not legally binding, and neither are the recommendations. The Commission is concerned that the ruling could lead to transgressors of human rights ignoring its recommendations in the absence of a court order. So it basically renders the organization toothless, as it were, and the HRC then saying it's going to be taking the matter further up. On the front page of The Citizen this morning, another bailout for SAA is the question. In the last-ditch attempt to save the ailing airline, government is looking at yet another rescue funded by the taxpayer. Despite the financial distress it's in, the bosses are still making excuses rather than simply getting on with the problem. That's the quote of one aviation expert. Should we even still be talking about another bailout for SAA? How many times? At what point is enough is the question. And they have there the picture on the front page of The Citizen. President Cyril Ramaphosa and King Letsie III at the official opening of the Senqu Bridge in Mokgotlong, Lesotho yesterday. It's a landmark achievement under Phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project and a testament to the partnership of the two countries. So the Sowetan has more on that story. And then the front page, or rather that's The Citizen, on the front page of the Sowetan reads a headline, "Would you let your kids learn here?" And it's a picture of a dilapidated school and its conditions at the Dulcie September Primary School in Rabi Ridge in Midrand. More than 2,000 pupils there missed classes for weeks as parents shut down the school over hazardous conditions. And the Gauteng Department of Education promises to deliver new mobile classrooms in 3 weeks. And it's really in a dire state. They also have the evidence coming out last night of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Were you watching the commission yesterday? Did you see the evidence of the suspended district commissioner, Brigadier Abraham Nkwashu? He's told the Madlanga Commission his sister-in-law, who he had not seen for years, convinced him to meet alleged cartel member Katiso Cathy Mohlahlana. Nkwashu says his sister-in-law was in a relationship with Molefe at the time. However, during that meeting, Molefe then pleaded with him and asked for a favor. This is in the bail application of Michael Pule Tau, who's an officer who had been arrested for the 2024 murder of Vereniging engineer and whistleblower Amand Swart. Molefe later became implicated in the same matter. Now, Nkwashu said he didn't help Molefe, but he also didn't know that Molefe was connected to that murder at all, and in the end apologizing to the country and to Swart's family. It was really incredible testimony yesterday. The allegations around the involvement, the relationships, even of a senior official like himself. So many questions remain unanswered. That's what's on the front pages of your national publications this morning.
If
If you're active on social media and love SAFM, we hope you'll take a moment to like or follow our SAFM page on Facebook and Twitter. These are the best places to find all the guest information, conversations, and stories you love from your favorite presenters, along with regular updates from SABC News. And don't forget, you can send your questions to feedback@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversation.
The National Briefing on SAFM. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
18 after 6 o'clock, let's get into your weather. We'll start with the warnings for this morning. Yellow level 4 warning for thunderstorms leading to strong damaging winds, hail, excessive lightning, and possible heavy downpours leading to flooding and damages to susceptible formal, informal settlements and infrastructure are expected in the Northwest Province. Yellow level 2 warning for severe thunderstorms leading to localized flooding of susceptible roads, low-lying areas and bridges, as well as localized damage to infrastructure and settlements are expected in Gauteng, eastern parts of Northern Cape, Limpopo and eastern parts of Mpumalanga. A yellow level 2 warning for damaging winds and waves leading to disruption of ports, small harbours, activities for a short period of time and difficulty in navigation at sea are expected between Alexander Bay and Plettenberg Bay in the morning. A yellow level 1 warning for damaging waves leading to localised disruption of port, small harbours activities for a short period of time and difficulty in navigation at sea, as well as disruption to beachfront activities are expected between Oyster Bay and Algoa Bay in the morning. There are no fire danger warnings or advisories issued for today. In Pretoria, the weather is cloudy with widespread showers and thunder showers, minimum 15, maximum 18. The expected UVB sunburn index is low. In Johannesburg, it's cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, minimum 12, maximum 16. In Vereeniging, cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, minimum 12, maximum 15. In Mbombela, cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, minimum 14, maximum 17. In Polokwane, cloudy with widespread showers and thunder showers, minimum 14, maximum 17. In Mahikeng, cloudy with widespread showers and thunder showers, minimum 14, maximum 18. In Vryburg, cloudy with widespread showers and thunder showers, minimum 7, maximum 21. In Bloemfontein, cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, minimum 5, maximum 20. In Kimberley, partly cloudy in the morning, otherwise cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, minimum 4, maximum 22. In Uppington, partly cloudy with isolated afternoon showers and thunder showers, minimum 6, maximum 28. In Cape Town, it's fine, the wind light easterly to southeasterly, minimum 12, maximum 23. The expected UVB sunburn index is very high. In George, partly cloudy in the morning, otherwise fine, wind light to moderate easterly to northeasterly, minimum 9, maximum 20. In Gqeberha, it's fine, wind fresh easterly, becoming strong in the afternoon, minimum 11, maximum 21. In East London, partly cloudy, wind moderate easterly in the morning, becoming fresh to strong northeasterly from late morning, minimum 12, maximum 20. In Durban, cloudy with scattered showers and rain, wind moderate to fresh southerly to southeasterly, becoming light northerly to northwesterly in the late afternoon, minimum 16, maximum 20. The expected UVB sunburn index is low. In Richards Bay, it's cloudy with scattered showers and rain. Wind moderate to fresh southerly to easterly. Minimum 16, maximum 21. And in Pietermaritzburg, it's cloudy with isolated showers and rain. Minimum 9, maximum 15.
Wherever you are in the world, SAFM 104 to 107 is accessible. We're also streaming live on Facebook, X, and YouTube at SAfmRadio. We acknowledge and appreciate everyone tuning in and watching our streams. Stay with SAFM 104 to 107 as we bring you commission live, breaking stories, and thought-provoking lectures. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
The Global Briefing on SAFM.
Well, let's get into our global brief for today. 3 Latin American capitals and 3 democracies under strain. Cuba confirming red talks with the United States to ease a crippling energy crisis, even as Havana accuses Washington of economic coercion. In Caracas, opposition leader Maria Corina Machado is warning of anarchic unrest unless an election timeline is set. And in Lima, the head of Peru's electoral body has resigned mid-count. It's 10 days after polls there close. Well, to help us understand these developments, Professor Pamandla Zondi is a professor of politics at the University of Johannesburg. Professor Zondi, good morning to you. Thanks for your time. Let's start with Cuba. Why is Havana at the table with Washington now? And what does this word coercion tell us about how they're framing this moment?
Oh, hi. Good morning and good morning to the listeners. Yes, indeed. It's just one of those areas in which the Trump administration is lobbied by a small group. Just as in Iran, it is lobbied by a small group of pro-Zionists in the U.S., including in its own administration, very strong pro-Zionist in his administration, including his Secretary of State. It's a Cuban lobby. There are descendants of those who ran away from Cuba when Cuba had a revolution against the aristocracy, against the rich and the dominant, right? And Rubio is part of that tradition of those who were defeated during the revolution and has never forgiven the Castro administration and always wanted to bring it down. And now they're using the U.S. power and the power of the U.S. government to try and strangle the current government in Cuba and maybe try and impose a pro-U.S. administration, perhaps made up of expatriates that are mostly in Florida in the United States, so that they can also come under U.S. Control completely.
What do you make of the statements made by Machado regarding her home country and the warnings around anarchic unrest? Is she signaling her supporters to prepare for something here?
It's really part of the bigger scheme of things, and really part of what Claire was explaining. And really, the intention is really to try and execute a Venezuela project in Cuba and do that. And the Cubans can see through it. And that's why the Cubans have been kind of conciliatory and talk about negotiations, because they know that in negotiations, they cannot fail. But in military confrontation, they will fail. And the learning from the Iran situation that you have to deal with this aggressive monolith, this aggressive monster, by trying to bring it to the negotiation table. But it's not very smart. It's just very cruel and physically very powerful.
When we look at these 3 stories, there is, of course, a common thread that runs along all 3, not least of which that they're all part of the global South. What is the pattern that you're identifying here? And I wonder what a country like South Africa then does reading into these global developments, especially when it comes to South-South relations.
The entire geopolitics of the world is under strain. There's a lot that is changing. And to tell you the honest truth, all elements of it are changing. I mean, if you think about the fact that the Atlantic Alliance is under strain, U.S. is at war with Canada, U.S. is at war with Europe. Nobody ever imagined that in the past 70 years. First time it's happening. Now, how much more for the rest of the others? And very difficult for the rest of the others. What the United States is expecting is only the big ones, which is China and India. The rest, it doesn't care about. Or those that are declaring loyalty to it, like Argentina. But for the rest, it is out. So it just means also the South-South cooperation is being put under strain. But it is actually the best of time now to strengthen it. And and reduce reliance on the United States, reliance on the US dollar, on the United States-backed systems, and build alternatives. It's time to do that, and for the 136 members of the G77 plus China should be accelerating their integration so that they're able to cope with this, not just now, but also in the future, because once there is a Trump, there may also be a Trump in future. For example, if Rubio takes over from Trump, it might actually be worse. If J.D. Vance take over from Trump, it would be a continuation. So you can't just hope that it's going to be a temporary administration and then you'll be done. You just have to find an alternative path forward.
Prof, when you see these fractures very briefly, is it going to be easy to just reset and back to default setting once Trump is out of office? Or is this going to change the way in which geopolitics is shaped going forward?
The latter is true for me. It's not going to ever go back to where it once was. Once a shift like this, it is shifted. It might not be as blunt as Trump is, but it would remain a force of distrust, and the distrust has been sown, the divisions have been sown. It's not going to go. It's like an elastic band that stretches and never stretches back to where it was before.
Professor Spamandla Zondi, let me thank you for your time this morning. He's a professor of politics with the University of Johannesburg. So already some of you weighing in on the stories we've touched on. Yeah, that front page, should SAA be given yet another bailout?
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
You know, Cathy, I just want to talk about SAA and the bailouts. I don't understand. I don't understand how the business is run. It's a state-owned entity. It should be much cheaper to the public so that we get more people using the airline. The other domestic airlines, for example, are much cheaper than SAA. So we would opt to go with those privately owned airlines instead of a state-owned SAA. It just doesn't make sense to me. Shouldn't it be cheaper so a lot more people use it and that increases the revenue? I'm just not understanding. It's Vishen and Mpumalanga. Thanks.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, a new witness will take the stand at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning. Suspended Sidibeng SAP's District Commissioner, Brigadier Mbangwang Kwashu, concluded his testimony before the Commission yesterday. Police in KwaZulu-Natal have warned protesters targeting undocumented foreign nationals in Durban to refrain from violent activities or face arrest. This comes after an anti-illegal immigration march turned violent on Tuesday in the CBD. And Zambia has executed the August 2025 High Court in Pretoria's judgment, which entitles the government to repatriate the body of former Zambian President Edgar Lungu for the purposes of a state funeral and burial. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
This Freedom Month, we reflect, we remember, and we celebrate how far we've come. 30 years into democracy, South Africa continues to shape a future grounded in justice, equality, and opportunity for all, under the theme Freedom and the Rule of Law. 30 years of democratic citizenship. SAFM will bring you all things freedom, the voices, the stories, and the conversations that matter. Join us as we honor the journey and explore what freedom means today. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Very good morning. A couple of items that we're watching this morning. A big truck crash by Warden. Both the left lanes are closed, urban bound and Joburg bound, for recovery of this two-truck crash just by the Warden North exit. Right lanes are open to squeeze through, but just a bit of caution and care required getting through there. Keep an eye for you also on the N1 South coming out of Pretoria from Montana down to Storm. Full traffic moving okay at this stage. A little bit later, though, likely to be held up as those roadworks continue. Breakdown on the M1 South going down to Winnie Mandela to watch out for as well. Durban, Cliffdale, Key Ridge looks all right at this stage. No major problems, nothing broken down there at least. That's good news. And if you're driving into Cape Town, N1 inbound looking fine from Belleville, Brackenfell. The N2 going into town looking half decent as well on that run in from Khayelitsha. Not the usual queues at this stage. And Baden-Powell likely to be slow along the coast at Strandfontein. Traffic lights at that Strandfontein Road junction. Still short timing. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Zai Khan, a very good morning to you. The Proteas women deserve multiple rounds of applause, right?
Oh, Cathy, I love that. I love that. No drama, no noise, just world-class women quietly just...
Come on now, come on.
Yes, women running the show, and I love it, and we love to see it, and that's exactly what our Proteas women did yesterday. Captain Laura Wolford delivering a record-breaking performance to lead South Africa to a 9-wicket win over India at the Wanderers, sealing the T20 series 3-0 with 2 matches to spare. Wolford smashed the fastest T20 international century by a South African, finishing with a brilliant 115 as the Proteas women chased down 193 with ease. Here's Proteas captain Laura Wolford.
We had to start well, chasing 190, so sort of just had freedom in that power play to strike it nicely, and then just kept going. So yeah, it was like obviously trying 1 or 2 different things. I think the seamers in Durban, the slower stuff into the wicket worked quite well, but that maybe didn't work as well tonight when the ball was sliding on. So I think we could have maybe gone to Yorkers a bit earlier and missed our Yorkers, I think, when we did go to it. So yeah, different tools for different venues, and probably just could have been a bit smarter netting those Yorkers earlier.
Let's go to Mamelodi Sundowns, who have dropped points for the first time in 2026 after being held to a 1-1 draw by Stellenbosch at Loftus Versfeld last night. The Brazilians remain just 1 point behind leaders Orlando Pirates with a game in hand, while Stellenbosch stay 9th, now just 2 points off the top 8. Let's go to Manchester City. They've climbed to the top of the Premier League. 1-0 was their win over Burnley, a result that also confirmed Burnley's relegation. Erling Haaland scored early as Pep Guardiola's side stretched their unbeaten run to 11 matches and now lead the table with 5 games remaining. On to cricket, the Rajasthan Royals returned to winning ways in the IPL, defending 159 to beat the Lucknow Super Giants by 40 runs. And in tennis action, the Croatian qualifier Dino Prismic caused an upset at the Madrid Open, beating former finalist Matteo Berrettini in straight sets. Meanwhile, the veteran Marin Cilic picked up his first top 50 win on clay in 4 years to advance to the next round. That's your sport. We'll serve it up some more on the National Briefing. I'm Zai Khan.
The Market Brief with Ndawleng Lechela on SAFM.
Good morning, Ndawleng. Taking a look at what is happening globally, strong U.S. earnings overshadow geopolitical risks. Talk to us about just what is leading to this.
Mm-hmm. Good morning, Cathy. What we are actually seeing are U.S. companies delivering stronger than expected earnings, pointing to, I guess, a more upbeat corporate America picture, which is overshadowing the geopolitical tensions that are currently playing out. But yeah, things can change drastically. Now, nearly 90% of companies are beating forecasts with earnings surprises well above historical averages, suggesting resilient demand and margins. The results point to an economy that is holding up better than anticipated, particularly in tech, where AI-driven investment continues to dominate growth. Now, that strength is also visible in industrials, with Boeing, which designs and manufactures commercial aircrafts, and Defense Systems reporting a smaller than expected loss and stronger revenue. The company also signaled plans to lift 737 MAX production, pointing to improved demand, steadier execution after years of disruption, and ongoing recovery in its core commercial aviation business. Now, stable aircraft orders, despite geopolitical tensions, reinforce the broader picture of resilient corporate performance and underlying economic strength. Now, outside traditional industries, South Korean firm SK Hynix delivered another standout quarter, just highlighting how central memory chips have become to the AI boom. Revenue and profit there surged on the back of higher prices for its products, even though sales came in slightly below expectations. Now, the company sits at the heart of the AI ecosystem, supplying memory chips that power advanced processors from players like NVIDIA. Now, these semiconductors are critical for training and running AI models, where speed and data handling are key. As demand shifts from model training to real-time AI applications, memory needs are accelerating, and that's tightening supply globally, further reinforcing SK Hynix's pricing power and positioning it as a key beneficiary of sustained AI infrastructure investment. Now, for a granular look at markets, strong earnings are keeping sentiment upbeat, with US stocks closing higher overnight, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq leading the gains, up 1.6%. While earnings are overshadowing geopolitical risks in the US, that's not the case locally. As an oil importer, the JSE remains under pressure, with oil back above $100 a barrel. The JSE all-share shared almost 0.33% in yesterday's session. The rand also weaker this morning, with the dollar at a week-and-a-half high, trading at 16.53 to the greenback, 22.30 to the pound, and 19.34 to the euro. And that's your market brief this hour. I'm Ntauleng Lechela.
Africa in Focus with Advocate Sipho Mantula on SAfm.
Advocate Mantula, good morning to you. We start off this morning with this report, an inquiry report into Tanzania's elections. Tell us more about it. Take us back to why it was instituted in the first place.
Refreshing morning, Sis Cathy and Jumbo Africa to the listeners. Indeed, when we look back to Dar es Salaam, the land of Julius Nyerere, there was an inquiry that was set up in November 2025 by President Samia Suluhu to look at the post-electoral violence that happened post the October elections. Now, the former Chief Justice Othman Chande will be today submitting or handing over that inquiry report on what they say. They are looking at two things: what happened, what we found, and what we recommend. That's what comes from the Independent Commission of Inquiry on the post-electoral violence that happened in Tanzania. You will recall that there were many issues. The AU, the SADC Observer Mission reports, they were pointing some of the challenges. Now, this commission went through 21 districts in 11 regions. It received almost, they say, they collected evidence from more than 63,000 people. And that's why they will today hand over that report to President Samia Suluhu. That report will both be published in Kiswahili as well as in English.
Taking a look at what's happening in Russia, the Kremlin hosting the president of the Seychelles.
Patrick Hemming, coming from Seychelles, is in Moscow now for bilateral and international talks. They will be focusing on what you can say the humanitarian assistance that was delivered last week also by the Russians to the conflict in the Persian Gulf. But with Seychelles, they are looking at issues of culture, religion, regional and international matters. So this is these are a few days of a working visit by the president of Seychelles to Russia. And you'll understand Russia has been moving towards all the former colonies of France, Cathy. You must understand there is a reason for that. Once there is a deficit of trust on France, Moscow comes in and restore what they'll say is their foreign policy interest. Hence we saw Chad, we see many leaders, Madagascar, They all go into Moscow to engage on that level. As Russia is on the BRICS expansion, Russia is part of what we call the permanent 5 members of the United Nations, despite its challenges.
Yeah, I was going to say, Advocate Mantula, there has been a lot happening with the Russian officials, right? They seem to be actively reaching out to partners in different parts of the world, and the hosting that is also taking place in Russia, it seems to be a bit busier than usual.
Absolutely, but remember, Russia is busy planning the Africa-Russia summit this year also. So it's meeting everyone, and meeting some of the small islands like your Seychelles, Madagascar is very important. We have seen the Russian script, as we always see, in the Sahel, but we see it moving towards the islands of SADC also. We see it moving towards East Africa, and as well as the Persian Gulf. So Russia, its foreign policy is very clear. It's all about multipolarity rather than unipolarity that we see from Washington.
Big moment for South Africa and Lesotho as phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands project enters a significant milestone.
That's quite true. It was launched yesterday. It's tired city coming from Spain and rushing straight to Mokotjo in Lesotho to launch this bridge. That is a new bridge between South Africa and Lesotho with the Honorable, His Majesty Chingiti the Third, and His Honorable Samuel Matekane, the Prime Minister of Lesotho. Remember, it's almost 40 years, this treaty between South Africa and phase 2. It was established around the 80s, late 80s, concluded in 2011. Now, yesterday, as they launched this phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project, it also coincided with the AU theme. Remember, the AU theme is around accessibility of water. And we know very well with this new bridge, what will happen now is it has been built with a lot of money, but will our Ministry of Water make sure that ordinary people of this country have access to water, as water is a basic human right.
Let's go into our historical archives. 23rd of April, 1995.
It's 31 years when the UNESCO held the first initiative of declaring and announcing that today it marks World Book Day and Copyright Day. Celebrating it is to promote reading, publishing, and protecting the intellectual property rights. Very important theme that it is important in South Africa. I don't know from your side, what are you reading at this moment? And our listeners are reading. Are they reading Madlanga? The ad hoc commission is off. I'm reading Makeba, My Story by James Hall of 1988. I'm reading Groundings with My Brother of Walter Rodney in the Diaspora. And it's not only grounding with my brothers and sisters, I add grounding with my sisters this morning on Africa in Focus. Asante sana, as we're still leading the conversation, SAFM observing the Freedom Month.
Mavis, I wonder if I should sell my car. I'm not sure where to go.
Wanna sell your car, but don't know what to do. You don't have to go far, we come to you. If you're rolling under 1.5 or a Lacquer 2.2, doesn't matter what you drive, we buy cars once you.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
You may or may not know the difference between wheel alignment and wheel balancing, but you do know a great Outsurance deal when you see one. Get a car insurance quote now. And if Outsurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Get savings or cash. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
This is Cathy Mohlahlana on the National Briefing.
Well, let's get into some of our stories that we're watching for you this morning. We'll come to Johannesburg, with thousands of residents under Ward 126, Ward 126, say they have been without power every week for days at a time. They allege that there is a man-made problem that is leading to not only the negligence of their infrastructure, maladministration and corruption, but it is disrupting their lives on a day-to-day basis. Well, we're joined by the chairperson of the Willow Tree Retirement Village, who is Dorothy Marks. Dorothy, good morning to you. Thank you for your time. So the issue of communities not having electricity, we see it all over the country. What makes your situation unique?
Good morning, Cathy. Good morning, everybody. It is so difficult, this situation, because it stretches right from our ward, right from Boskrane, Rain Park Ridge, Allens Neck, Walterfrieden Park. And for us as a small retirement village, and if I say small, we are quite small, and it's just the elderly living here who live independently, who cannot afford all these fancy retirement villages. Now, if you go without power, and taking into consideration, there are so many of our residents here that only get the SASSA grants. Now, with that money, they buy their food. Their children pay their levies and their lights and electricity. But if you take SASSA for anyone in this country, it is such a little amount. And if you go and check the little bit of food they buy, they really buy for a month and try and stretch that. Now, if you have your electricity out and power's cut and cables stolen, and you have incompetent, and sorry that I'm ranting about this, but it is incompetent people who try and fix the situation when there are power outages, and substations blow up because of the inferior work that they do. Then we suffer, not just us in the village, but everybody around us. People with children, in the complexes opposite us, or anywhere. It doesn't matter who it is, and it doesn't matter what race we are. We all suffer. The food goes to waste. And I sit here and I sometimes think, what can I do for these people? They come to me and they ask me, Dot, when are we getting the power back on? Dot, what is COJ doing? What is City Power doing? At one stage, the 8th of April went off. That is just one incident where we went off on the Wednesday, just after 1, when they did a planned maintenance thing in Rain Park Ridge. They fixed the cable so-called there, and when they switched it back on, everything else blew, and that included our little section right up to 1 Prentical Avenue.
Sure. Dot,
and no matter
yes, you've started a petition alongside the rest of the community calling for accountability. Yes. What does accountability look like right now for you?
Accountability is non-existent. It's non-existent. Honestly, because, you can drive around. We have people drive around going to the little substations. Then they tell us, okay, this substation blew because they switched that one on in Peter Road. Then somebody drives out to Peter Road. There is no one there to fix it. Norma Mabata, if it wasn't for her and her team, I'm telling you, the rest of this community and this whole Roodepoort section would have been and would still be without power. We were without power up until the Saturday. The one elderly lady came, and our residents, the age, I think I'm the second youngest here, and I'm not young. And our oldest person is 93. Now, if I take people around us looking at you with those sad eyes, when are we going to get power? What about the little children in the area? What about the parents who cannot afford to buy their kids other food, who cannot afford anything else with the petrol and everything go? You can't go out and get takeaways. You can't do that every night.
All right.
So what do? You have little... Yes, sorry, dear.
No, that's fine. We're going to have to leave it there, Dot. I think you have painted the picture there for our listeners. She's the chairperson of the Willow Tree Retirement Village, and collectively under the Izwi Labantu Forum, they're demanding answers from City Power and the city of Johannesburg after being without power since earlier in April.
SAFM
guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. In 3 under pressure this morning, coming through from Elands up to Van Buren. That's fairly normal queues that you sit in, but the other side of Galulis through to Modderfontein is quite heavy backlogs as well. N17 under more pressure than normal from Boksburg through Wadeville as you line up into those roadworks, just coming down to Osborne Road. And a look at Pretoria, looks okay on the N1 between Montana and Stormful, so that's a result. Heavy pressure on the mighty Mopani Highway, issues there at Block XX this morning. Coming out of Shoshanguve, it is heavy. Durban's Higginson Highway, leaving Chatsworth quite slow through Mobeni, down towards the N2 highway. Crash on the N2 south after Umgeda Road. Right lane is closed. That traffic coming through from Inanda Road really starting to backlog. N2 going north is under pressure from the M7 through Westwood Mall as well. And then Cape Town, the N7 Vangate Mall up towards Epping. That's quite slow as you pass Langa. And a lot of traffic congestion around Symphony and Stellenbosch Arterial, top of Delft. Both of those routes under pressure. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The National Briefing on SAFM with Cathy Mohlahlana.
You're listening to the National Briefing. A number of stories we're tracking for you this morning. And as always, you can get in touch with us. The numbers to dial for our studio line 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, you can send your text messages and voice notes on 0614 104 107. Now, 3 of South Africa's biggest clothing retailers, Pick n Pay, Pepco and the Foschini Group, say they're acting against suppliers linked to a sweatshop in Newcastle. It's where workers have been found enduring long hours, long pay and unsafe working conditions. Fahmi Abrahams is the National Collective Bargaining Officer for SACTRU and joins us on the line. Good morning and thank you for your time. Firstly, when we look at the responses of the retailers, it seems this came as a surprise, but is it really?
Good morning, ma'am, and thank you for the opportunity. Absolutely not. It's not a surprise. It is something that has been happening in the Newcastle area since the early 90s, early 2000s, where sweatshop conditions in Newcastle resulted, as an example, at that time, a young woman called Nokutula Slechwayo being locked up in a factory, was pregnant at the time during night shift and had complications and couldn't get to the hospital. And as a result, lost both of her twins because she couldn't get medical attention as she was working night shift in a factory in Newcastle. And it's been something that we've been speaking to retailers about for many years. We've appealed to them. We've tried to get them to come into a buy local agreement where working conditions have been honored, where workers are being treated with respect, and where the kind of human rights abuses that you see now is not proliferated. So retailers saying that they are surprised by these actions is something which is not our experience.
Why do you think they're only taking action now? What has made things different?
I think it is because what has happened over the last few months and the last few years, there's been a public display now that has happened. There's been more focus from the media and certainly from our members in our legislature who's gone to visit. There's been a concerted effort by our Department of Labour to recognize that there are serious labour rights abuses, serious human rights abuses happening in Newcastle, and it's now into the public. And the names of these companies who provide work to these unscrupulous employers are now being publicly displayed in the media. And that is why we think now suddenly this reaction is from the retailers.
There is also an allegation that many of the workers in these factories will often be migrant or undocumented workers. Is that true?
Absolutely true. It's been shown in the various visits that have been made by the Department of Labor, the Department of Home Affairs, the police, where when you come into these factories, you see people working in absolutely horrible conditions, where they try to hide these workers, and these very vulnerable people who come for no reason or for no fault of their own, try to find a better life, are being abused because they have no recourse. They have no recourse because they feel that they can't go to the authorities because they are undocumented. And in that way, the human rights abuses are just getting to levels which even some of us won't let our animals live in.
I'm just curious then, how does a union like yours bring in accountability, and how do you ensure that these companies do better by their employees if you're dealing with such a big issue around how these workers are even represented? Because if they're undocumented, how would you as a union be able to legitimately represent them?
You see, one of the things that we often grapple with is that we've got to act within the confines of the law. We've got to alert the authorities. We've got to follow the proper procedures. Our union is not one where we just go into companies and try to take the law into our own hands. We have been for years communicated with the relevant authorities, with our employer counterparts, who often face this unfair competition from these people, and trying to find a way that the working conditions and the labor laws adhere to, and that we may ensure that where there are people who are not South African citizens, that they have the proper working permits, and that they have the proper documentations to be in South Africa. In no way are we saying that there's no place for foreign people within our country and within our workplace, because we recognize we are. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. If you can wrap it up for me, please.
Yeah. So we've been doing this for many years, and the very nature of undocumented workers that you often don't know that they are here. So it works in the employer's favor that they hide these kinds of workers because they don't have the recourse to go to the authorities.
That's Fahmi Abrams, National Collective Bargaining Officer at the South African Clothing and Textile Workers Union. All right, it's edging towards 7 o'clock. Let's take the latest news update.
Outsurance is in the business of saving you money on your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
In our top stories, new witness to take the stand at Matlanga Commission, and Zambian government executes order over Lungu's remains. Good morning. A new witness will take the stand at the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning. Suspended Sidibeng, SAPS District Commissioner Brigadier Mbangwa Nkwashu, concluded his testimony before the Commission yesterday. Nkwashu testified that murder-accused Katiso Cathy Mohlahlana is his brother-in-law. He's accused of interfering in a murder investigation involving Mohlahlana. Mohlahlana was arrested for his alleged involvement in the murder of Vereniging engineer Armin Swart in April 2024. When questioned about why Mohlahlana denied that they are related, Nkwashu told the Commission that Mohlahlana is a liar.
At this stage, Commissioner, Mr. Mohlahlana is, according to me, a liar. He can't tell the truth, and he lied to me in my eyes. So I'll rather believe what the officials are saying than what Mohlahlana is saying.
Police in KwaZulu-Natal have warned protesters targeting undocumented foreign nationals in Durban to refrain from violent activities or face arrest. This comes after an anti-illegal immigration march turned violent on Tuesday in the CBD. Foreign nationals were seen in videos posted online being assaulted. Many shops owned by both South Africans and foreign nationals have closed due to fear of being attacked. A strong police contingent has been deployed to patrol the streets. Police spokesperson Robert Nechihunda says they are planning to meet with March and March organisers to discuss their activities.
In the Durban CBD, we have increased the numbers. We do not want to keep so much police in the same area because we don't want a police state. We want people to live freely, to go about their business daily and freely so, without fear of anything. But where there are threats, we are bound to capacitate as the police. We still encourage those who were threatened to come forward and open cases.
Limpopo musician Lihlohonolo, known as Shebe Mabena Chauke, who's accused of attempted murder, is this morning expected to resume with his bail application in the Polokwane Magistrates Court. He wants to be granted bail so that he can attend to his health. In the previous hearing, he brought a medical doctor to testify about his health condition. Shebe Mabena has been in custody since his arrest in November last year. Rendane Ralipaswa has more.
The accused, Shebe Mabena, argues that he's unable to consult his doctor while in custody. He had also brought his doctor to testify on his bail application. Dr. Malusi Chaba testified that Shebe Mabena has a fracture on his leg sustained in a car crash 2 years ago. Shebe Mabena also testified that his leg has already started to deform since he was arrested in November last year.
Zambia has executed the August 2025 High Court in Pretoria's judgment, which entitles the government to repatriate the body of former Zambian President Edgar Lungu for the purposes of a state funeral and burial. The Lungu family's appeal bid in the Supreme Court of Appeal lapsed after the family failed to meet the deadlines. It set together with the Zambian government on an expedited timeline approved by the appellate court. Kenny Mapanga reports.
Former President Lungu passed away in South Africa on the 5th of June 2025. However, a court battle and subsequent appeal process over his remains has halted his burial. This execution process, kicked off by the Zambian government, spells the return of Lungu's remains to his homeland of Zambia. It is, however, unclear when that repatriation process will begin amid investigations.
And finally, Lebanon's Prime Minister has accused Israel of war crimes after another Lebanese journalist was killed in the south of the country. Amil Khalil and a freelance photographer were covering developments when an Israeli strike hit the vehicle in front of them. The BBC's Jacob Evans has the details.
Lebanese officials say Amal Khalil was travelling alongside another journalist in a car in southern Lebanon when an Israeli airstrike hit the vehicle in front of them. They ran into a nearby house, which Israel then struck too. Lebanese officials say the attack was deliberate and targeted, and that rescue teams were also blocked from reaching the scene. Prime Minister Salam said Israel's actions would be brought before international tribunals. Israel consistently denies targeting journalists and said it did not prevent rescue teams from reaching the area.
Recapping the top story, a new witness will take the stand at the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
You may or may not know the difference between wheel alignment and wheel balancing, but you do know a great Outsurance deal when you see one. Get a car insurance quote now, and if Outsurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Get savings or cash. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP, T's, C's and information online.
A very good morning to you in your SFM Sports Headlines. Soccer action as Mamelodi Sundowns, their winning run ends as Dylan Bosch strike late at Loftus last night. And in cricket, the Proteas women dominate India as Laura Wolford powers the series win. We'll have details around 7:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
With a major backlog on the IT Mopani Highway coming out of Shoshanguve. Delays down at XX, the alternative M35, Sotpan Road, looking pretty heavy into the Ondersterpoort area as well. Joburg's N3 out of the normal pressure from Elands up to Van Buren, bit slow the other side of Giluli's up through Edenvale. And the N17 really slow this morning, Boxburg through Wadeville as you come out of Ekurhuleni into the road construction there. Durban, crash N2 southbound by Clare Road Bridge, traffic starting to push back towards Inanda Road. M7 into Pinetown, pretty heavy traffic from Hunsdetman up over St John's Avenue Bridge territory today. And Cape Town, a lot of pressure around Delft, Stellenbosch Arterial and Symphony Way, both of those routes jamming up into that junction. And the N7, Jake Scoville, queuing this morning from Vangate Mall, passing Langa, up to about Yucklesville or Beaufort Circle as you go through Langa, busy towards Epping. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The National Briefing on SAFM. Clarity, context, and conversation. This is where the day begins with Cathy Mohlahlana on the National Briefing.
It's 8 after 7 o'clock. Welcome to the second hour of the National Briefing. Coming up in this hour, as the Office of the National Police Commissioner comes under renewed scrutiny, former Intelligence Minister Ronnie Kasrils brings a historical perspective. He's watched the machinations play out across 3 presidencies. He'll help us hopefully make sense of the moment and answer the question: is the position of the National Commissioner itself compromised by design? How do we explain that we have a pattern that has landed us here through various positions or individuals occupying that office? The reality check with Professor Madonsela this week continues. Her theme, Unity in Diversity. Today she unpacks the corruption and commissions. To what end is it all? And one of the stories that we're also tracking, a political fault line that could reshape the Tripartite alliance. Today, the South African Communist Party and the ANC will hold separate briefings at exactly the same time, both of them addressing the same issue: dual membership and campaigning across party lines for the 2026 local government elections. Is this a coordinated message or a public display of division? We'll, of course, love to hear from you as the show unfolds. The number to dial this morning, 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, send those text messages and voice notes 0614 104 107. That's 0614 104 107. As we bring you clarity, context, and conversation, this is the National Briefing.
Attention all shoppers. Our supermarket shelves are full of unhealthy food. It's often hard for me to know which foods are good for my family. The information on packaged food is complicated and hard to understand. I wish we had easy-to-understand warning labels on foods high in salt, sugar, and saturated fat. We have the right to know what's in our food. Support front-of-package warning labels on unhealthy packaged foods. Sign the petition on heala.org. That's HEALA.org.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Based upon what we know, for example, different political parties expressing themselves, there's grounds now for an impeachment. Do you think that is pushing the boundaries too far?
Well, it seems like, having regard to the fact that Parliament itself commissioned a commission to investigate that, and they took a decision not to proceed with that type of approach. What we should not lose focus on is that there must be some requirements met for people to persuade us that there's wrongdoing. I don't think the public will protect anybody if there's wrongdoing.
Modidima Mania, the advocate and legal analyst.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
Exciting news, South Africa. SABC TV Licenses has partnered with Capitec to make paying your TV license simple, affordable and accessible. If you're a Capitec client, sign into the app and click on Transact. Next, select Pay Bills, then click Pay At and enter your reference number to complete your payment. It's as easy as that. You'll receive instant SMS confirmation. Now you can keep your stories alive and your screens shining bright. TV licenses, pay yours, make a difference.
The National Briefing on SAFM. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
It's 12 after 7 o'clock. You're listening to the National Briefing. Well, let's get into our big story this morning. South Africa's top cop once again coming under scrutiny. This time it is the National Police Commissioner, Fani Masemola, who appeared in court this week, raising fresh questions about why the office continues to be dogged by controversy. All of this unfolding at a time where institutional trust in the South African Police Service and the security cluster more generally is at an all-time low. It's following allegations of links between the country's top police officials and criminal cartels working in cahoots with each other to avoid facing justice. While the former Minister of Intelligence is Ronnie Kasrils. He joins us this morning. Mr. Kasrils, good morning to you. Thank you for your time. It is such a difficult moment, I believe, for the country to be reckoning with. Lots of us are struggling with making sense of what exactly is happening and what is at play. Perhaps just your informed perspective this morning, having been part of the security cluster and having perhaps a deeper understanding of what really goes on behind the scenes.
Well, thanks, and good morning. It is indeed extremely worrying, to say the least. We have to get through this somehow, and that's no easy statement. Just look what happened to the Zondo Commission. The Madlanga Commission is even more eye-opening, eye-popping, let's say, and gets to such a deep level of state security, safety, which is essential for any country. We also need to understand that this is not simply a South African case. The question of crime, criminal activity goes back to ancient times, and crime has always been a serious rival to the state. Let's understand and grasp that fact. It's a constant battle, and the state has to be strong, it has to be efficient, it has to be dependable, it has to be professional. And the police sector, the security sector, the prosecutory aspects, the investigative aspects cannot be allowed to run down. And that, I would say, is very central to the problems that we face. So we are a country in transition, which makes it even more, the situation even more vulnerable, because democratization does not guarantee a crime-free society. A transition to democracy needs to be accompanied by the formation of efficient government institutions, from the financial aspects to the policing aspects to the collection of revenues. It has to be above the law. And we've been grappling with that particular issue. So you talk about it going back several administrations. This starts with the change from an apartheid system, and I'm not laying all the blame there, although we've got to look at the roots, because there was enormous corruption, white-collar corruption, right through to violence, and that obviously was bred by the inequalities of apartheid. Okay, I'm coming to our issue. we needed to create these new institutions. If you go back to the Mandela and the Mbeki administrations, I'm not saying they were 100% effective. They were battling to create that kind of professionalism at all levels. And remember the Scorpions, which got off to a flaming start. What then happened in dissent? I don't want to get totally into the blame game, but really we find the rot going very deep in the Zuma administration. And, you know, as you sow your seed, so you reap. This has got so extreme as we speak. The revelations have been shaking this country, I think even more than Zondo. And Mohlanga is doing a great job. And if the president is serious in terms of the very important recommendations that will come, then we must see the state coming down on all the culprits, which hasn't been the case in relation to Zondo. So, of course, the commission's interface.
Sure.
But this particular Mohlanga one points to something that is at mafioso standards. If we think of the mafia's control of Sicily and Italy and how this functions globally, we can see that we are on a precipice. And this is where we need to understand that victory over organized, syndicated crime and the gangs is only partially depends on the efficiency of the police, but also on the state, the condition of the state.
So, Mr.
An
Casseros,
inefficient bureaucratic state machinery and a weak economy and government financial controls that are weak are a recipe for the criminality that's been gaining ground in our country. And it's deep within the police, as we've seen.
if we are to look at the solutions to this current moment, the president is also wrestling with something very real. What does he do now, particularly when it comes to the position of the National Commissioner? Does he suspend the National Commissioner given his own matter that is now facing before the courts? But you also mentioned something important, that we are seeing here patterns of part of our state being captured by the mafia. And these all have very real consequences for what we can expect, or what we should expect the SAPS to do versus what they can actually do given the level of capture.
Well, it has to be changed root and branch. I'm not saying there are no good police. This country owes so much to Nhlanhla and Kwanazi for blowing the whistle. And I know that there were questions that arose. Was he going out of step with the system of command and control, etc.? Whatever weaknesses there might be, or even errors of judgment, and I'm not judging him myself, but we owe such a debt to him, to his courage and his standing up in terms of blowing that whistle. The evidence is accumulating. What we've seen in Mohlanga has really been to the core, to the bone. And the first thing that the president has to do is to act. And by way of that, suspension is a key element for control, for further investigation. But the question of taking up the actual recommendations, not to do what has happened with Zondo, a major weakness. We have to now see a president asserting authority and control and showing courage and will. This is a key thing. And he has to face up to any aspects of his own standing and what has happened. And you make reference to that. But he's got to be above that. This is what we're crying out for. And that starts with the very top. Those at the top who are implicated, and we'll hear from Mohlahlana, but those recommendations about charges being laid in a difficult situation, whistleblowers have been assassinated. This is all in terms of the mafioso playbook. We all know what has taken place elsewhere in the world, let alone the source of mafia originally, which is rather different to this country, by the way. I don't want to be simplistic, but the way we use the term mafia, I think everybody understands that seeping control by criminal syndicates over society. We have to now, as I say, a root and branch, follow through on the investigative aspect, the prosecutorial aspect. And it starts, if you look at the Italian model, how did they get on top of the mafia? With courage, with will, with determination. You had people being prepared to give their lives for the safety of their people. Prosecutors and judges who were assassinated, they have to be given, as well as the witnesses, real protection. And then the spring cleaning factor has to go into effect. From the prosecutorial aspects right through to the police itself, sifting out the top people, sifting out bad apples and understanding it's not simply a bad apple issue, but systemic throughout the system. I'll just make a final point here that bear in mind, and I'm saying that there are damn good police, and I've mentioned in Msunduzi, but there are others, even at sergeant's level, local police station level, etc. But the question of once corruption gets in and criminality in the police force, one is finished and society has a gun at their heads. So it's got to be that, but we're going to have to make a restart, a real restart, rebooting it all. And that's going to take a national effort and huge courage from the top.
Lastly, very briefly, what are the risks if nothing happens? So if we see this paralysis of action or inaction continue?
Well, you saw what happened in 2022 in KZN and in parts of Gauteng, actually out of the playbook of what had happened in the unrest at the end of the 1980s and into the 1990s, a system, a network. At that stage, it's politically motivated. There's that aspect. What Mohlahlana is showing is the criminal aspect. And what happened in 2022, when you get radical politics and criminality combining, you really have terrorism growing. And that's the big danger. Now, I'm not an utter pessimist. I don't live in the depths of despair. I always see that we can get things right. There are great people in this country at every level and in the police force. I've had quite an interface there. And in the military, by the way. But the systemic thing is what's holding everything back and is so dangerous. So what can one say? I can't predict. But if you leave it, then of course things will descend. We've seen in where a mafioso really got into play in Latin America, in South America. And I'm not saying that Europe and the USA and so on, or white society in South Africa. Remember white-collar crime, the Steinhoff scandal. But unless we can arrest this, we're going to get into that South American situation that I think everybody knows about and has been horrified about, where you have the real control of the gang system tied into politics, into radical right-wing politics, and the right rise in the US and elsewhere shows where this can go. And we have it in South Africa as well at the political level.
All right.
And by right wing, I'm not simply referring to kind of white supremacy extremism. I'm talking about populism at the level of certain emergence as we've seen in 2022.
Okay. Doctor, so apologies for that. The former intelligence minister, Ronnie Kasrils, giving us his take then on the current events unfolding within the country's security cluster. You hear the warnings there that he is giving about the action that needs to happen, but also what will happen if everything stays the same. I'll take some of your calls on this issue. 086 000 2032 is the number to dial. 086 000 2032 on the WhatsApp voice note line 0614 104 107. That's where you can send your WhatsApp voice notes and your text messages. Let me just read one text message here. Somebody says, well, how can President Ramaphosa act on the police commissioner Fani Masemola when he's protecting Wally Rueda in his office? So this idea of the president being able to do more is what he is questioning. Somebody else says, Cathy, as a citizen of this country, I'm wondering whether the parliament is actively working behind closed doors to come up with a plan of how to overhaul these affected government departments. The president should stop gallivanting the globe, but should stay put in the country and get solutions with all stakeholders. He appears too casual and relaxed, while the rot in the country is beyond imagination. That's a message there from Millie in Carltonville. A message here from Pale in Mankweng. I want to comment on the interview that you had with the guy from the union. The problem we're having with the issue of undocumented immigrants that are working in the country is because of the immigration officers. Labor officials are really not doing their work. We no longer have operations, but all these departments that are supposed to be doing the checking are simply not doing it. And that applies across salons, spazas, and retail shops. And that message there is from Pale in Mankweng. All right, I'm going to be bringing you more of your callers. I'll also take your responses to Ronnie Kasrils' take and his unpacking of the state of the security cluster this morning. I'll take your calls on 086 000 2032 on the WhatsApp voice note line 0614 104 107.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, a 29-year-old man has been taken in for questioning after police recovered 3 bodies burnt beyond recognition in a bushy area of Hazy View in Mpumalanga. Provincial Police spokesperson Mavele Masondo says police are investigating 3 cases of murder. A new witness will take the stand at the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning. Suspended Sidibeng SAPS District Commissioner Brigadier Mbangwang Kwashu concluded his testimony before the commission yesterday. And an envoy of US President Donald Trump has reportedly asked FIFA to replace Iran with Italy in the upcoming World Cup. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Some good and bad news coming out of Pretoria. No sign of any roadwork disruption around Montana. That's the positive. The not so great news is further down the road, breaking down vehicle around Linwood, coming from Storumful. That's quite heavy. Crash on Francis Bard at Arcadia. If you're leaving Pretoria Central, heading out that way towards Hatfield, there's quite a backlog of traffic around that scene. Joburg this morning, Mike 1, Boyson through to about Glen Hove, and then another little stop up as you line up in towards the Grayson Drive exit. Collision on Winnie Mandela at Four Ways Boulevard, just causing some additional delays around that part of town. Now, Durban, a crash going north, N2 north up to Queen Lundy Drive, so from Umgenero, that's all backed up, and a crash going south near Clare Road Bridge, so coming from Queen Lundy down through Inanda, Umgenero, on your way to Spaghetti Junction, it's heavy, and another crash on the N2 north before Spaghetti, so coming through from the M7, that's all heavily backed up. 3 crash scenes between the M7 and Queen Lundy Drive this morning, 2 running north, 1 running south. Cape Town, Stellenbosch Arterial, Symphony Way in Delft, that's all very busy. N7 north is heavy, Van Gate Mall through up towards Epping this morning, and more traffic queuing up on the N7 as you get out of Goodwood towards that busy Bosmansdam Road off-ramp. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
A very good morning, Zai Khan. Tough one for Sundowns. They missed the chance to top the log.
Yeah, Cathy. I mean, it is a tough one and a proper late twist. You know, you think you're climbing the table and then boom, Stellies pulls you right back down. And that's what happened last night. Sundowns missing the chance to go top of the Betway Premiership after being held to a 1-1 draw by Stellenbosch at Loftus Versfeld. Tsiki Ntsabeleng gave the Brazilians the lead in the first half, but former Pirates striker Shegofatso Mabasa came off the bench to equalize late, scoring on the rebound after his penalty was saved. Here's coach Sundowns Miguel Cardoso.
Story of the result comes from absolutely out of time duel in the box that creates a fall that gives the opponent the opportunity to make a goal out of a penalty, and in a moment that the game was completely under control from us, completely under control. That's the story of the game, simple as it is. This kind of games with if you give something to the others to collect out of mistakes from your own part, obviously you are not taking care of what you had in hand.
More football. Kruger United have taken a big step towards PSL promotion after a 2-1 win over Cape Town City, extending their lead at the top to 5 points. And Manchester City have climbed to the top of the Premier League with a 1-0 win over Burnley, a result that also confirmed Burnley's relegation. Erling Haaland scoring early as Pep Guardiola's side stretched their unbeaten run to 11 matches. Here's Guardiola.
Win is the main target, so we make, considering the last 3 days and the emotional physicality, the game we play, we make an extraordinary game, except the first half where we defend not good, 2 actions in behind. The line was not correct. Second half, in general, was good, and just, the chances we create, we can score more goals, but the important is every game winning now. I'm really pleased for the way we played. If I have something a little regret, we could have scored more goals. Yeah, definitely.
More soccer news coming in, this time a drama as Chelsea have parted ways with head coach Liam Rossini after less than 4 months in charge following a run of 7 defeats in their last 8 matches. Rossini had only signed a 6-year deal in January, but the club has acted swiftly amid the poor run of results. Caleb McFarlane has now been appointed interim head coach until the end of the season as Chelsea look to steady their campaign. And good news for the Proteas women, with their captain Laura Wolford dazzling with the bat last night, powering the Proteas women to a commanding 9-wicket win over India at Wanderers, securing the T20 International Series with 2 matches remaining. Wolford achieved her score in just 53 deliveries, which was 14 fours and 5 sixes. Not only was it the fastest century for the Proteas women, but it also took her to 1700s in women's internationals. And that's your sport. We'll swing back with more. That's on the National Briefing. I'm Zai Khan.
The Market Brief with Ndauleng Lechela on SAFM.
Ndauleng, good morning again to you. So, this is not good news, but certainly not entirely unexpected. Inflation edging higher in March.
Slightly so, Cathy. We haven't started seeing the dire impacts of the war out in Ukraine coming through, as the fuel prices only ticked up in April. So what we are seeing is a relatively benign inflation environment in March, but underlying pressures are gradually re-emerging. Consumer inflation rose 3.1% year on year last month, edging higher from February and staying close to the SARB's 3% target. Now, the main driver last month was housing and utilities, reflecting higher costs for essentials such as water and electricity compared with a year ago. Food inflation, however, continues to ease, with vegetables, fruit, and dairy still in deflation, offering some relief for households. Transport inflation also remains contained for now, helped by earlier fuel price declines, though that support is expected to fade on the back of recent hikes that will likely filter through from April. Against that backdrop, electricity pricing has become a key inflation pressure point. Electricity and Energy Minister Jose Ramokgopa says the government is shifting focus from keeping the lights on to making power affordable, with plans to end double-digit tariff increases and align future hikes more closely with inflation. A new pricing framework is already before Cabinet and will soon be opened for public comment. Now, this comes even as a new tariff adjustment begins filtering through to households in July. With supply now stabilized and load shedding largely contained, electricity costs are increasingly feeding into inflation dynamics and also weighing on growth. Turning to markets, with under an hour and a half to go before the opening bell, expectations are for a mixed start for the JSE as investors weigh geopolitical risks. While the US-Iran ceasefire is in place, recent attacks have kept concerns alive, also keeping oil prices elevated, with Brent up 1.3% this hour to $103 a barrel. Global markets also trying to make sense of developments between Tehran and Washington, with Asian stocks in negative territory, US futures in the red, but losses there capped as big business continues to top expectations when looking at earnings season. Lastly, in currency markets, the rand under pressure on the back of a stronger dollar. It's currently trading at 16.53 to the greenback, 22.30 versus the pound, and 19.34 to the euro. That's where I leave things with you this morning. Catch you bright and early tomorrow for another update of your markets and business news. I'm Ntauling Lechala for the National Briefing.
Nothing has changed. The Proteas women and women in blue both want to deliver top-class performance. This is the 5th and final T20 International. Witness the mouth-watering clash between South Africa and India on Monday, 27 April at 13:55. Live on SABC Plus and SABC 3, with reports on SABC radio stations. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Top Sport with Michael Abramson.
Banyana completing their friendlies against Algeria with a 2-0 success. They won 1-0 the other day in KZN, and today they won by 2-0. Idiski journalist Letabo Khanyaho back on the show. What did you make of the two matches?
No, I felt that we had won. I want to just congratulate, the technical team. I think they selected a strong squad, outside of the international-based players, the ones that are in Spain and everything. When you look at the squad and when you look at the starting 11, especially from the first game as well, I thought it looked very strong. It looked very tight. Now I'm seeing Lebura Malepe is like now our starting right wing. We all know that she plays well at fullback, but she does well as well at the right wing. A combination with Hilda and even with Knox as well. And also, I'm so happy for Nthabiseng Madia. It's been a long while. She's been in the team. Remember, she was Thembi Kgatlana's replacement at the 2022 AFCON, and she did well.
Top Sport on SAFM.
Top Billing brings you the very best in lifestyle, luxury and inspiration. From breathtaking homes and dream destinations to exclusive access to the people shaping culture and success. This is where style meets substance and every story shines. Tune in to the new season of Top Billing on S3 Thursdays at 7 p.m. starting from the 30th of April. Repeats Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. on SABC 1. You can also stream Top Billing live on SABC Plus, available on all app stores and your smart TV. Top Billing, the best of the good life.
The National Briefing on SAFM. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
7:41, you're listening to the national briefing. In a moment, we're going to be looking ahead to what we're expecting today. Samkela Maseko will join us to unpack these two media briefings that have been scheduled by the SACP, the ANC, all at the same time, talking about the approach, dual membership, one campaign, the 2026 local government election. Which direction will things go? You can expect that just in the coming half hour or the coming 20 minutes left of this hour of the show. Before we get into that, for the reality check this week, we're joined by Professor Thuli Madonsela. She's been offering her insights on the theme unity in diversity and really talking about the things we have committed ourselves to in the Constitution. She started us off earlier on in the week by unpacking what this promise of unity in diversity is and asked us, what does it mean and what does it take for us to be at peace with each other? And can we be at peace if we are unequal? That's where she followed on from. And today she'll be speaking about corruption and the work that is being done at the various commissions we see held.
Hi, Cathy. Hi, listeners. It is once again a privilege to join you in the national briefing as we conduct a reality check on how far have we gone in achieving the promises we made to ourselves by adopting a constitution that commits to establish a society that is based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights, where every citizen's life is improved, every person's potential is freed. We've spoken about the meaning of social justice and how far we've gone in trying to achieve it. We've spoken about equality, and we've spoken about where are we lacking and where are we doing a little bit better. Today, I choose to focus on corruption and commissions of inquiry. Do commissions of inquiry make a difference? And is corruption an impediment to achieving a better life for all that is based on social justice? I want to say it's true, corruption is an impediment in that it takes away the money that is meant to build bridges in rural areas, to build schools and to ensure all schools are equipped with computers, laboratories, and things like that, to ensure that hospitals have equipment and that all communities have libraries. Corruption is also the reason why we're spending billions in funding state-owned enterprises, which are supposed to give us money instead of guzzling money from us. So yes, in that regard, corruption is an impediment to achieving our constitutional objectives. But I do want you to understand that it is not the only impediment. One of the main reasons we're not achieving our constitutional objectives is that we adopt policies that have what we refer to as stray bullets and Trojan horses. Stray bullets are policies such as the policies we adopted to curb the spread of COVID-19, but we ended up destroying parts of the economy and increasing inequality by destroying township economies and also destroying livelihoods of the entertainment industry, tourism industry, etc. Those were not our intentions. We wanted to keep people safe, but because these policies were not evidence-based or impact-conscious, they ended up being Trojan horses and full of stray bullets. So I just want you to know that part of the reason we remain unequal is because we're designed to be unequal. So those structural inequalities remain. But also then some of our policies have not really been anchored in social justice, in that they don't take into account the intersection of class and race, intersection of gender and geography. So, for example, BE policies are great, but they need to be tuned to ensure that at their core is justice for everyone. So, but I want to talk to you then about commissions of inquiry. Do they make a difference? They certainly do. As one who ordered the Zonda Commission, I often get blamed for having wasted a lot of money, $1 billion. Firstly, I didn't plan for it to spend $1 billion. I thought it would be about 10 million at most. But you would like to know that that commission has so far clawed back over 16 billion, and we're still counting. But also a whole lot of people have been held to account. But more importantly, we got a sense of the anatomy of corruption as a crime. And now we know what are the loopholes in the system that allow people to loot. So we can start fixing our public procurement system. We can start fixing ethics in government. And we can start making sure also that the people who do the work understand the rules and the guardrails within those rules. Lastly, on commissions of inquiry, it is important to also know that even the Mahlanga Commission has already given us something that we can use to move the needle on corruption and on social justice. Thank you once again for this privilege, Cathy, and I hope we can continue tomorrow.
Prof. Thuli Madonsela on the reality check. I'll get your reflections on some of the comments that she made and the reflections that she made there on 086 000 2032 and your WhatsApp voice notes 0614 104 107. Before we get into those calls, let me bring in very quickly our SABC political reporter, Samkele Maseko. Samkele, many have read it as a strange state of affairs. We've had the SACP and the ANC both issuing media advisories, not only for the same day, but for the exact same time, speaking about the exact same issue. Is this a sign of how deep the troubles in the water go?
Indeed, Cathy, the Tripartite Alliance is deeply in trouble, in particular the relationship of the ANC and the SACP. The ANC later on yesterday issued a statement saying that their press briefing has now been moved to 1 o'clock today. It's no longer at 10 o'clock, as like that one of the SACP at Kusatu House this morning. So the ANC will ultimately have their press briefing just after midday at 1 o'clock today, where the Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, will outline the decisions taken by the Special NEC on how they are going to formulate a working relationship with the SACP, noting that the party has now ultimately decided to enter electoral politics and they will be on the ballot paper. The SACP says they will not entertain the ANC's decision to issue out letters to all leaders of the SACP who are members of the ANC to indicate whom they will be campaigning and voting for, as that is just divisive and lacks political trajectory and political direction.
Both parties seem to be digging in their heels, and one gets the sense that, each one is willing to sort of dare the other, whatever the consequences might be. How far do you think they're both wanting to go with this?
The SACP is a very divided organization on the issue of whether to contest elections or not, because ultimately you've got leaders of the SACP who are saying, no, where did the decision to contest by-elections come from? Because we don't have a decision to contest by-elections, we've got a decision to contest state power elections. And that is where the divisions stem from, and particularly at a time when the ANC is losing electoral power. Many within the party, or some within the party, for instance, if you look at documents written by Dr. David Masondo and Putima Namela that speak against the resolution of the SACP of contesting elections, which also followed a document that was written by the former General Secretary of the SACP, now National Chairperson, Dr. Bladen Zemande, arguing against this particular resolution, which has become synonymous to be labeled as a Solima Paila resolution, but You've got provinces that have been disagreeing with this particular resolution to go contest elections, such as KwaZulu-Natal, led by then James Nxumalo and Themba Mthembu in KwaZulu-Natal. They were ultimately disbanded by the NEC, or the Central Committee of the South African Communist Party. On the ANC side, you've got extremists who are saying, no, let's just cut the umbilical cord. These communists must go. We don't want them here because they are ultimately contesting us. But then you've got those moderates within the ANC who are saying, no, we may have differences with individuals who are leading the SACP, but we don't have differences with the Communist Party. So we must ultimately leave communists within the ANC, but just that those whom will be campaigning for the SACP must please excuse themselves from ANC ZET zonal elections team, branch elections team, NEC elections team, and other ANC-related elections machinery. So that is where the difference is. The ANC has decided to take a moderate as opposed to the harshest punitive measure, which is cutting the umbilical cord.
Samkele Masego, we'll leave it there for now. You can expect more coverage of those developments on the programs throughout the day on SAFM.
Stay on top of all meaningful, top trending stories right here on SAFM. Leading the conversation. The National Briefing on SAFM. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
SAFM traffic with momentum. Just as you plan your route, only 15% of households plan for retirement. Plan yours today. Speak to Momentum and an accredited financial advisor for advice that meets your context.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Very slow coming out of Pretoria with backlogs on the M1 down towards a breakdown at Linwood Road, back of the queue up around Storumful Road. Into that, the N4, Emelethveli Highway from Watermeer, quite slow to come in and join the M1 South. Also, if you're leaving Pretoria along Francis Bard outbound, a crash at Arcadia. Causing some delays. And the R21 up to Fountain Circle looking fairly heavy as well. Joburg, definitely a lighter Thursday. Further we go into the month, the lighter the traffic gets. That's normally the way it plays out, and we see that this morning. The real sort of exception there is the Mike 1 from Parktown all the way through to Greyston looking fairly heavy. Durban, has been a series of collisions this morning, 3 of them. One on the N2 North near the Booth Road Bridge after the M7. Another up on the southbound side by Clare Road Bridge, having an impact both directions. And then the third collision scene, which appears to be clearing, was one up at Queen Nundy Drive, again going north. So really it's just that N2 at the Clare Road Bridge one that's causing big delays north from the M7 and southbound coming through from Queen Nundy Drive. The run between them, Getter and Spaghetti Junction, very heavy. Also a crash in the Clarewood area on the M4 just after Quality Street. So Southern Freeway on your way to Durban are really heavy. And there's a crash on the M13 going from Kloof to Hillcrest just before Old Main Road, and that's causing quite a backlog from sort of Maytime territory. And then Cape Town, there's a breakdown and some roadworks on the M1 outbound at Old Oak Road. You won't believe how heavy the traffic is from sort of Plattercliff Hill territory out through Belleville and in towards that Brackenfell area. Very heavy on your way out of town on the M1. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Some say the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, sometimes it gets the grease, sometimes it gets replaced. Generic guidance only fits a few situations. That's why Momentum accredited financial advisors take the time to understand you and only then apply their expertise. Advice meets your context. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Good morning, Cathy, and to the SAFM listeners. You know, I've been listening to Ronnie Castros on the issues of the SAPS. The guy talks from experience, and these are the people that we need in South Africa to sit in panels that seek to transform the SAPS to better positions, because this system is actually crippled, Cathy. We need people like him. We need people like Ronnie Castro's to be, to guide us, to sit in panels that seek to transform, seek to change, seek to reform the SAPS. Melusi from Jamestown.
Asket, good morning. It's Kosnati speaking here. My sister, look, Madlanga Commission is doing a good job. As a result, the arrest that is happening compared to Zondo one. As for Zondo, even today, no one is arrested because there were ANC people that were implicated there. Zondo was only told by his master, Cyril Ramaphosa, to bring Zuma, whether alive or dead.
Good morning, SAFM. I don't know why we're so shocked about the police and the state of the police. The ANC gave ranks away like cookies. Colonels, generals, if you're ANC cadre, you can have a rank. That's where the problem started. So it's not the police from South Africa. This is not the SA police. This is the ANC police. So the people who appointed that cadres must come to book. Jeff Telbach.
Hi, Katie. Hoping you're well. This is Daniel. Katie, the most painful part of it, when all said and done, when the facts are on the table, right? The truth is, the Madlanga Commission, right, or the Madlanga recommendation are not binding. Everybody knows what that means. And some people are saying, we might just end up in square one, just like we did to Zondo Commission. That's the most painful part of it. Thanks, Katie.
Hi, Katie. I'm Tulane Kunene from Newcastle. Katie, I'm telling you a truth. In Newcastle, in the factory, the people, they're getting 300 rand a week. This thing for inspection, and the ministers come here in Newcastle, in the factory, they didn't do anything right. Till today, the Chinese, they pay the people 300 rands a day. Not a day.
Good morning, Sis Cathy and your team. I just want to talk about this issue, the protest that is happening in Durban. All 3 days shops are closed in Durban. And this issue, I think we are going to have a problem of tribalism, because the way that they are identifying that you are illegal is just that they look on your face and they see you like you are more like a black, too much black, then they start beating you and say you're a foreigner. If you can't speak their language like Zulu, then they start beating you. So I think it's very dangerous the way it is happening in Durban. I have seen videos where the locals, they are also complaining and crying that now we are fighting each other. Why are you fighting us? Because they can't recognize each other, who's in foreigner and who is in local. So that's why we need Home Affairs to come in.
You are listening to the National Briefing with Cathy Mohlahlana.
Yeah, one of the things we'll have to do is just to try and actually bring a bit more coverage of that situation unfolding in Durban and those protests that have been taking place. Yesterday, the provincial commissioner, and he was at the provincial commissioner's walk, like a fun day and activity day, and he spoke on the issue of these protests, and he really condemned the threatening of those who are deemed to be illegal migrants, saying that that is not the behavior that civilians should be taking on. And we must confront that, right? No matter how frustrated we may be with the state of affairs, it cannot be used to justify the kind of criminality that we are seeing. We're going to continue with the show. On the other side of 8 o'clock, we take you to Msunduzi. This is where the focus of our Municipal Watch will be for today. Right now, Anne is standing by with your latest news update.
Outsurance Essential is made for older cars. Claims are paid in cash within 5 working days, and you choose your own panel beater. SMS CAR to 43185. That's CAR to 43185.
In our top stories, police probe Hazy View gruesome discovery and new witness to take the stand at Mahlanga Commission. Good morning. A 29-year-old man has been taken in for questioning after police recovered 3 bodies burnt beyond recognition in a bushy area of Hazy View in Mpumalanga. Provincial Police spokesperson Mavele Masondo says police are investigating 3 cases of murder. He says the investigation will also probe whether the discovery of the bodies could be linked to a kidnapping incident that was reported in Mbombela last week.
3 people were found in the bush in Hazy View, burned beyond recognition on Wednesday, 22nd of April 2026. Investigation is underway to establish if the victims are the 3 people who were reported kidnapped in Nelspruit on the 14th of April 2026. A 29-year-old male has been taken in for questioning on both cases of kidnapping and murder.
The DA will today open a criminal case against the Social Development Minister, Sisi Tolashe. The charges relate to Minister Tolashe's alleged failure to declare luxury vehicles donated by the Chinese embassy. The DA will open the case this morning at Cape Town Police Station. DA Member of Parliament Nazli Sharif says they want the police to probe the matter.
I think it's great that different MPs are driving this issue. Our role as MPs is to do oversight on the executive. The charges that we will be filing is different to the ones that Action SA has filed. The Democratic Alliance was the one who has been pushing this issue. We started with the labor and ethics complaint against Tolashe. Last year, October, we wrote to the President, we wrote to the Public Protector, and just on the 20th, we wrote to the Portfolio Committee.
A new witness will take the stand at the Mahlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning. Suspended Sidibeng, SAPS District Commissioner Brigadier Mbangwa Nkwashu, concluded his testimony before the Commission yesterday. Nkwashu testified that murder-accused Katiso Katie Molefe is his brother-in-law. He is accused of interfering in a murder investigation involving Molefe. Molefe was arrested for his alleged involvement in the murder of Vereniging engineer Armin Swart in April 2024. When questioned about why Molefe denied that they are related, Nkwashu told the Commission that Molefe is a liar.
At this stage, Commissioner, Mr. Molefe is, according to me, a liar. He can't tell the truth, and he lied to me in my eyes. So I'll rather believe what the officials are saying than what Molefe is saying.
A private nursing college in Durban has allegedly been taking on students for the past 2 years, despite only having conditional accreditation from the South African Nursing Council, which does not allow for any training to be offered. The KwaZulu-Natal chairperson of Nursing Union, Denosa, Andile Mbeje, says this emerged at a meeting between students, parents and management of the St. Mary's Nursing College in Marion Hill. The Nursing Council instructed the college at the beginning of the month to halt its nursing diploma course. Mbeje says the college was previously accredited but had to qualify again after the nursing curriculum changed in 2019.
All the private colleges, they were suspended to do any nursing program until South African Nursing Council approved them. Right now, St. Mary's is not approved and not accredited fully. They are only conditional accredited, provided they submit those documents. And sadly, their conditional accreditation is supposed to run up until end of December 2026.
A total of 60 students are affected. Parents paid 70,000 rand per year in registration fees. The SRC Deputy President Nogulunga Xulu says what concerns them more is that they've been working with patients for 20 weeks per year while not being registered with the Nursing Council.
as students, we've reached the consensus that we don't want to continue with our studies, especially because if any nursing council official, anyone were to find us within the clinical facilities operating without any accreditation, we could be liable for a fine or even arrested. So that is very alarming for us. And so we've decided that it's best to just suspend it.
Recapping the top story, a 29-year-old man has been taken in for questioning after police recovered 3 bodies burnt beyond recognition in a bushy area of Hazy View in Mpumalanga. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Theft, accident, and 1 million rand third-party cover for your older car. Outsurance Essential has it all. Get a quote. SMS car to 43185. That's car to 43185.
If you drive an older car, you've got to hear this. For her 2013 Hyundai i20, 40-year-old Nomthandazo chose Outsurance Essential Car Insurance because she gets a third-party cover of up to 1 million rand. For this and many more benefits, Nomthandazo will pay only 516 rand a month. Get Outsurance Essential Car Insurance today for unfinanced cars older than 5 years and valued at less than 130,000 rand. SMS car to 43185. That's car to 43185. Outsurance, a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
It's a very good morning to you. In your SAFM sports headlines, United Rugby Championship officials clear Luke Morgan after Ethan Hooker injury is sparking widespread debate, and the Soweto Derby spotlight falls on key players set to define this weekend's blockbuster clash. We'll have the details at around 8:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Standout queue in Joburg at the moment is the Mike 1 going north from roundabout Parktown through to Grayston Drive. Pretty heavy backlogs here on your way to Stanton. Southbound Grayston to Corlett looking slow as well. N3 between London Road and Buccleuch under a bit of pressure both directions. Pretoria side today. Crash on Francis Bard at Arcadia causing delays for those heading out to Pretoria Central, and a breakdown on the M1 South at Linwood backing traffic through towards Storenville Road. Durban, a series of crashes this morning on the N2, most of them out of the way. The big one is around Clare Road Bridge. Now that's causing a delay coming south from Queen Nandi Drive through Umgena Road and north from the M7 up towards Westwood Mall through the works, and having a look at that crash as well. Also, collision on the Southern Freeway just after Quality Street. That's heavy as you come up from the south into Durban, and a crash on the northbound M4 near Broadway causing backlogs both directions. Also a fallen tree approaching Hillcrest on the M13. That's causing a queue back towards Maytime stores if you're driving in from Kloof. It's heavy. And then Cape Town, this will surprise you just how heavy the N1 outbound is. Roadworks out at Old Oak Road, just one lane open. Queue starting right back around Kilbasson in the Parow area. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The National Briefing on SAFM. Clarity, context, and conversation. This is where the day begins with Cathy Mohlahlana on the National Briefing.
It's 9 minutes after 8 o'clock. Welcome to the final hour of the National Briefing. Coming up in this hour, Pietermaritzburg ratepayers are being asked to pay sharply more for services they say are already failing. We'll put the residents' case and the municipality's response side by side. That's in Municipal Watch coming up shortly. And later in the hour, Built in Msunduzi heads to Bushbuck Ridge. This is where One Foundation is closing the rural digital divide, classroom by classroom. And of course, we want to hear from you. The number to dial to reach our studio line this morning, 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107. That's where you can send your voice notes and text messages. We bring you clarity, context, and conversation. This is the National Briefing.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Spar Winner Car is back. Stand a chance to win one of 50 Hyundai Extras when you buy participating products. Like 500 gram Clover Bacho Butter Spread for 79.99, save 15 Rand. Or 850 gram Parmalat pre-packed cheese, including 800 gram President Mature cheese for 129.99, save 20 Rand. Price is valid from 22 April till 10 May. Shop, swipe and win while stocks last. Only at Spar. T's and C's apply.
Municipal Watch, bringing your local issues on the national agenda. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
It's 12 after 8 o'clock. Let's get straight then into Municipal Watch. Ratepayers in Pietermaritzburg are being asked to absorb steep increases for the coming financial year. On electricity, an increase of 9.26%. 13% increase on water and a 13% increase on sanitation. These are just some of the increases that ratepayers are going to have to bear with. At the same time, the Msunduzi municipality itself reported losses of 715 million rand on electricity and 116 million rand on water in its last financial year. Residents are asking the simple question this morning: why should they pay more for a service that is actually deteriorating and where losses are as significant as I have detailed? Joining us for this conversation is Anthony Waldhausen. He's the CEO of the Msunduzi Association of Residents, Ratepayers and Civics. Anthony, good morning.
And thank you for having me.
Also part of the conversation, Nelisiwe Ngobo, the Chief Financial Officer of the Msunduzi Municipality. Nelisiwe, good morning to you. All right. We seem to be having an issue connecting to the representative from the Msunduzi municipality who had confirmed, by the way, that she would be part of this conversation. Let me also then welcome onto the show Ross Strachan, who is the DA caucus leader at the Msunduzi municipality. He also sits on the finance committee. Ross, good morning to you.
Very good morning to you. I know you struggle with my...
Apologies for that, Ross. I hope I was closer to the right pronunciation and not too far off. Hello, Ross. Are you on the line? All right, it looks like we've lost Ross on the line. Anthony, we'll start with you. Paint a picture for us on the ground and give us perspective from you as residents. What does this tariff proposal mean for the ordinary Pietermaritzburg household?
Well, from our side, from our side, we actually, from the residents, we actually having challenges with the service delivery overall, from water to electricity to refuse collection. I mean, these actual increases are not actually supported by us and residents, because we're finding that we have these high increases, but we're not having any service delivery whatsoever, and it's very frustrating for us as residents. We are actually battling financially to put food on the table, to actually absorb these high increases, and it's not sustainable financially for residents at all.
What do you understand to be behind these significant losses that have been reported? A 715 million rand loss in electricity. What does that mean? Water losses, 116 million rand?
Well, the thing is that each year these losses are presented each year, but there's no actual proactive measures put in place to address these losses. I mean, what we're finding, for example, the water leakages. You report a water leakage, and it takes like 2 or 4 days before it's actually attended to. We actually have incidents in sometimes where residents actually reported leakages and haven't been repaired for over a year. So these are basic things that the municipality should be doing and are not been doing. So for us to expect us to fund something that is not sustainable is not in the interest of the residents.
So what is the position of ratepayers right now? How are you going to be responding to these increases?
Well, for one, in February we actually we made a submission on the rates and tariff charges for 26-27, which we actually completely objected to. And we've made that submission. We have in the RDP and budgeting process taking place at the moment, and we're also making submissions there as well, and which we are continually opposing these high increases. And we as residents will need to stand together to actually stop these actual increases, because, as I mentioned, it's not affordable for any of the residents.
Let me bring in the mayor of Msunduzi Municipality, Councillor Mzimkhulu Tebola. Good morning to you, sir. Thanks for your time this morning. How do you justify these increases?
Good morning, Cathy, and to your listeners. Look, the funding model of municipalities assumes that 90% of the revenue of the municipality should come directly from municipal-owned funding. How then do you get that? You get that through ensuring that residents pay for services that they get. That is why then every time we do a study, a study that will say how much does it cost us to provide a certain service. And in this case, that's what we are always applying to our residents. We, of course, listen to the views of the residents before making the final decisions. I have heard one of your guests saying some of these are not justified. Now, on electricity, we don't just make a decision. We work with NERSA, which is an authority that then regulates how much can a municipality charge the residents in terms of their tariffs. So is on water, of course. On all other services, it is our decision based on inflation. Most of the time, we don't just decide how to raise. We are aware of the economic situation of our country, in the main of our city.
Sure.
So any decision that we make, we try by all means not to put our customers on the
So Mayor, the biggest
economic
the biggest difficulty that you're confronted with, and you raised it, you said residents are expected to pay for services that they get. The residents are arguing that they're not getting these services, which is why they don't feel they actually need to pay. How do you answer for that?
I believe that is an argument that we will get almost every day. Whenever it is time to make payments, people will always want to find anything that can make them not to pay. We understand that the reality is.
So are you saying that the allegations of declining service delivery in your municipality are not true?
I cannot say completely they are not true. Of course, the municipality is on a way to recovery currently. We acknowledge all the challenges that we have as a city. We acknowledge them and take responsibility for all those challenges. Hence, we are working together with our communities, together with business and everybody to ensure that we give those services accordingly.
Ross, is that a clear acknowledgement or rather justification and a clear picture of the state of affairs in the municipality?
Look, I think we've got to be honest, and you know, I think that the right word that you're using is justification. I mean, residents need justification as to why they should be paying such exorbitant increases and tariffs year in and year out, and we've got to be honest with ourselves in that we are not providing an adequate service in Msunduzi, and it'll tell you the facts will tell you that we've been under administration over the last 15 years twice, and in 2019 extended 5 times. We have not gone above 1 month of cash coverage in the last 10 years, and there is a problem. And you cannot force or try and motivate and build trust with residents when you're not being honest with them. We collect less than 40%. From people that can afford to pay from the entire municipality in terms of services rendered. Yes, there are areas throughout the city that do not receive even the basic service of water. Some areas in Vulindlela have not received running water out of their taps for the past 15 years or maybe even more. Now, how do you justify to residents in terms of trying to collect revenue when you're not rendering a service? And I think that's where we've got to be honest with our residents. And if we want to justify exorbitant tariff increases, we've got to make a concerted effort to deal with the issue of collection. And everyone that can afford to pay must pay. We cannot run at a loss in a business. It's like making cakes every day and you give more than 80% of your cakes away for free. That's not a business. We've got to treat this municipality like a business. This is where I disagree with the mayor, is that we cannot keep hiding away and making excuses. We've got to tackle it head on, and we've got to be honest with the reality on the ground. And if you want to build trust back with your residents, you've got to be honest with them in what it's going to take to fix the city. And why, in fact, are we increasing so much is because we want to make sure that we tackle the issue of collection.
Anthony, your take on the mayor's response?
Well, actually, we disagree with what the mayor is mentioning because, I mean, for us as residents, we've actually found in a large amount of service delivery are not actually happening. I mean, for example, the refuse collection is a haphazard. We actually is on and off all the time, and there's always an issue with regarding the refuse trucks that are not working all the time. But there's not adequate actual overall the service delivery completely. I mean, if you just, for example, come to the CBD of the city, I mean, it's completely dysfunctional. It's actually the crime and grime is actually happening at a large scale that we do not actually have confidence in the municipality actually providing services to the residents. And the thing is, you actually having, as it was mentioned, I think we dispute that. I mean, 30%, it's actually, I think 30% or less that you're actually collecting revenue from those we can pay. And there's no actual efforts being made to actually uplift the residents, to actually make them to get more fund, to actually fund the issues around improving their livelihoods so that they can actually make contributions towards the municipality.
Mayor Mzimkulu, sure, I'm going to ask you to pause it there, Anthony. Mayor Mzimkulu, the problem, as we hear from some of the guests, is that you seem to be in denial about the state of affairs, that you're not acknowledging the problems for what they are.
Yeah, but Cathy, if you listen very well, both Anthony and Ross are contradicting themselves. Ross, on one hand, is saying we are only collecting from a certain percentage in the city, whilst we are supposed to be collecting from everybody. But he again agrees that some of our residents cannot afford to pay for them. And in that case, that we have plans for everybody, those who are unable to or those who cannot afford to pay for services. We have a plan for them. But of course, those who can afford to pay for municipal services, that they
But that's not a contradiction, Mayor. What he's saying is that you cannot make up the shortfall of the revenue by increasing the tariffs and charging those who can afford to pay even more than what they're already paying, especially if they're not satisfied with the services.
Yes, I agree. We cannot make up for what we are not able to collect by charging them what they say is exorbitant. That is why before we make any increases, we do a cost of supply study so that we are able to charge our people what is really due to the municipality. For a service to be provided, this is what we need. This is how much we are able to provide that service. That's what we are doing currently.
Mayor, the key question that you have not answered is around the justification for the increases when service delivery is clearly so poor. So if we look at the losses that I mentioned earlier that have been reported in your municipality, over 700 million of losses in electricity, over 100 million losses in water. And these are the things that are at the heart of why residents are questioning why they should give you more money when clearly there's mismanagement in the system.
But again, you will realize, Cathy, look at the latest report. Ross knows that report. Surely Anthony and his organization, Mark, know that report, that we have reduced electricity losses to, in the past 8 months, to just 10%. Of course, even 10% is too much for a municipality the size of Msunduzi. But that is a biggest reduction that you can ever make in any municipality, reducing from 5 years ago from 40% to 10%. That is a huge reduction. So is the reduction on water. Yes, we agree there are challenges. We have to be able to detect any leakages immediately. We have to be able to detect any illegal connections immediately. We are working on that on a daily basis to ensure that
Sure, you can come in. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Please, if I can come in, I just want to, before we continue with the excuse rhetoric, I want to come in and just state the facts. And we're going to go back to the justification to residents that have been burdened, that are continuing to be burdened and are falling away due to the economic climate on a yearly basis. Our rate base is getting smaller and smaller. But I want to make it very clear that we've got to get our own house in order before we can go out there and justify. And I hear what the mayor is saying. He's quite correct. But I want to state the facts that if you want to go out and deal with the losses of both water and electricity, how do you do that? with an over 60% vacancy rate that hasn't, and there's no excuse not to fill those vacancies. We are running on one cylinder in both technical departments, and we haven't filled those vacancies. Some of these departments are sitting at 66% vacancy rate. What's the excuse there? We cannot make excuses where we are not getting our house in order. I'm sorry.
Anthony, what do you want to say to the mayor as we get ready to wrap this conversation up?
Well, I think the core problem that the real challenge, the problems in our municipality overall, is that we have a high level of corruption. That monies are being used for other things that they shouldn't be used for. For example, you actually sponsoring football clubs for 27 million rand. You actually sponsoring New Year's party for 3 million rand. So they're not able to prioritize. That is the one issue of the corruption. The nepotism is very high in the municipality. The project deployment that is actually happening in the municipality, where you're actually employing unskilled, unqualified people. And I mean, for example, the salary bill of the municipality is over 1 billion rand. The current staffing at the moment is over bloated at the moment, and you're not having real quality and experience and qualified staffing that actually are not able to, we should be actually providing the services, professional services.
Okay.
And for us at the moment, and there's also the challenge as well too, is there's no public participation of all stakeholders in making submissions and making contributions and we actually an organization that has the solutions to some of the challenges, but the municipality doesn't want to engage with us to actually deal with those issues. And for us as residents, we're actually completely frustrated, and we don't know, we actually quite more than frustrated, we're actually quite angry at the moment.
Mayor, what do you say to your residents?
Now,
as I give you a
Cathy,
final chance to wrap up briefly, please.
Now, Cathy, someone says we are overbloated, but someone also says we are understaffed. Now, please note that that's the first one. Secondly, I believe we allow the residents of Msunduzi to participate in all our processes, especially the budgeting and the IDP process is always open to the public. But over and above that, I believe we are the only municipality in the country, and I can assure you.
So basically, Mayor, if I understand you correctly, you don't understand why the residents are bringing this up in the first place. Because listening to you, you don't see a problem.
We understand why residents will say this is what is our view in terms of tariff increases where tariffs are increased, and we work with the residents. As we speak, we have received more than 2,000 submissions, and we are going through those submissions. When we table the final budget to council at the end of May, it will be inclusive of all the views of our residents, because we do allow public participation.
All right. Unfortunately, we're out of time. We're going to have to leave it there. I must apologize. We're late for news, and good morning.
Good morning. Thanks, Cathy. In the headlines, Johannesburg City Power has placed Tabang Mashishi, a manager in the supply chain division, on precautionary suspension with immediate effect pending investigations. This relates to media reports and allegations lodged by a whistleblower into acts of misconduct and extortion involving current and former City Power contractors. A 29-year-old man has been taken in for questioning after police recovered 3 bodies burned beyond recognition in a bushy area of Hazy View in Mpumalanga. And Britain and France are expected to sign a deal today that will put more police and military personnel on French beaches to stop undocumented migrants from travelling on small boats across the Channel. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Was noticeably lighter across Joburg this morning. Hopefully you're enjoying easier traffic flow. The one real exception is the Mike 1 heading up to Santon. That's pretty jam-packed this morning from around about Melrose up towards that Grayson Drive exit. Also a bit slow just coming off the N3. Some roadworks heading down to Marlborough Drive, causing some problems from Buccleuch. And a bit of traffic on the R24 inbound at Galuli's interchange from Edenvale. R21 up to Fountain Circle, heading into Pretoria stays busy as well. Durban, all sorts of issues along the N2. A crash before Spaghetti Junction and then a breakdown at Spaghetti. So from the M7, N2 fully loaded, N3 into that, backs from Pavilion Mall, and southbound a crash taking forever to clear up by Clare Road Bridge. Pretty solid coming through from Queen Nundy Drive this morning on that run south towards Umgena Road as well. Cape Town, the big story there is the N1 outbound, and you won't believe how heavy this is. Lane restrictions at Old Oak Road, that's the exit just past Durban Road at Belleville, and that's pushing a queue right back to Gilbesol. If you're on your way out to Belleville, Brackenfell, Kryfontein, trying to get to Paarl, it's a heavy backlog. N1 inbound, Plattekloof to City Centre is busy, and still a lot of pressure into Hospital Bend this morning. N2 backs from around about Bunga Avenue. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Zakhan, good morning again. We start off with rugby this hour. The United Rugby Council official, they've cleared Luke Morgan.
I know. I mean, someone is out for 4 months, right? At least the other guy, meaning Luke Morgan, should at least say sorry, because the fans are asking, referee, did we watch the same game here? And unfortunately for the Sharks star Ethan Hooker, he's got a serious shoulder injury. The URC officials clearing Ospreys wing Luke Morgan of any wrongdoing. Now, the collision happened after Hooker had already grounded the ball to score, with Morgan diving in late and dislocating the centre's shoulder, an injury expected to sideline him for up to 4 months. Now, despite outrage from South African fans and calls for disciplinary action, the citing commissioner ruled that the challenge did not meet the threshold for a card. Morgan remains free to play this weekend, while Hooker begins a lengthy spell on the sidelines. More rugby, the Lions are bracing for a much tougher test when they host Connacht in their next United Rugby Championship clash at Ellis Park. This comes after a dominant 54-12 win over log leaders Glasgow, but the Joburg side expect a completely different challenge from the Irish outfits, who recently they upset the Stormers. Let's go to soccer, and South African Football Association Technical Director Molefi Nseki says they are embarking on a plan to improve the efficiency of their technical team structure, and this includes they're looking at the head of analysis, scouting, goalkeeping, as well as sports science.
And also going into a tournament, whether it's men or women, we need to have a very clear understanding, because men and women, their development is different. And also when you talk of youth players, we also need to understand the growth spurt, and that is a very important part that when I look at conditioning of our national team players, we have to have an expert leading in that department, and in doing so, he will be able to connect with the rest of the country, where we have got conditioning coaches, where we have got sports scientists, and then we'll be able to develop our players.
And finally, cricket, Proteas women captain Laura Wolfhard delivered a record-breaking performance to lead South Africa women to a 9-wicket win over India at Wanderers, sealing the T20 series 3-0 with 2 matches to spare. That's your sport on the National Briefing. We'll be back with more sport around 12:30 with John Hedeker. I'm Zai Khan.
No one gets fit overnight. It takes discipline, and your money is no different. A Nedbank 32-day notice account helps you build financial strength with up to 7.3% interest and 0 maintenance fees. The higher the deposit, the higher the return. Invest in under 2 minutes on the Money app and get money fit with Nedbank. For more information, go to nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank, we're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Nothing has changed. The Proteas women and women in blue both want to deliver top-class performance. This is the 5th and final T20 International. Witness the mouth-watering clash between South Africa and India on Monday, 27 April at 13:55. Live on SABC Plus and SABC3, with reports on SABC radio stations. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Call SAFM now on 086 000 2032.
You're listening to the National Briefing 8:39, bringing some of your responses to the stories we've been tracking. On X, National Sun says, our Msunduzi municipality mayor live on SAFM. It's embarrassing what the mayor is defending. We feel let down big time as Pietermaritzburg residents. Nothing is functional at Msunduzi. Another resident says, the municipality is falling apart. The centre doesn't hold. That's Brian Kumalo. Service delivery is worse. How can one pay for services when they are non-existent? The town is dirty. The township is ward. I'm a ward committee member currently, and I'm not happy. There is no water. So those are just some of the responses that you're sending through. In fact, before I bring in the callers on different issues, let me just play one or two other voice notes relating to the state of the Msunduzi municipality.
Sis Cathy, hi, Roskin Polokwane. You know, it's so frustrating that we've got all these issues in every municipality in the country that is led by the ANC. Yet, every 5 years, South Africans vote the same ANC into power. Like, why are we doing that? These people will never fix anything. They're currently ruling Eastern Cape and Limpopo outrightly without coalitions. What's happening? Nothing. They keep telling us about renewal. If you are renewing, start there. Thank you so much.
Good morning. It's Kizo here in Maritzburg, and I'm Msunduzi, Ward 26. I will attest, as you can see now that you're trying to get someone from the municipality and they've agreed to speak with you. This is exactly what we are experiencing as a citizen, as ratepayers. When you call and you want to report any fault, you can't get hold of them until you have to drive to their offices and mourn, then you get the service. As we speak, we don't have electricity today in 126, or where Ross is staying. Thank you, Skitch in Maritzburg.
And I guess part of the difficulty, right, is when you get a sense from the leadership that there's no true acknowledgement of the existence of the problem. It feels like a bit of gaslighting that takes place, right? That the reality is so far removed from what the officials say the reality is. Mike, you're in Garangua. Good morning.
Cathy, public enemy number one that is preventing South Africa's economic growing, that is preventing South Africa going forward, is a terrorist ANC. ANC is public enemy number one in South Africa. They have destroyed the economy of this country. Now, here is this so-called SACP, that they are making noise between them and the ANC. The same SACP claiming to be vanguard of the workers, and COSATU as well. They were watching when the state capture, when Zuma was selling the country to the Guptas. They never said anything. So these people, ANC, SAC, COSATU, let them die now. These people have contributed anything good to this country. You hear this, Paul Mashatile saying that South Africa is a better country now than it was in 1994. He's self-talking utter nonsense. South Africa is worse than it was. It's worse than when it was before 1994. The country is upside down. This has been done so by ANC. The animalistic behavior and conduct of this terrorist ANC comrades has destroyed this country. They are stealing money at municipality, national level, and provincial level every day. So people who keep on voting for ANC, they are just like aliens. This is alliance behavior that we are seeing in this country. ANC has destroyed this country.
And just help me understand, Mike, when you say it's alien behavior, what do you mean?
It's something that we don't know. Alien is something that you don't know. Where does it come from? It's alien. ANC is an alien to the people of South Africa. It's public enemy number one. It's worse than National Party government.
Sure.
This is a terrorist ANC.
Sure. Mike, I can hear you're very angry about...
I'm angry, Cathy, because our children, your great children and my grandchildren, they don't have future. We don't know where we're going. And that is terrorist ANC.
Okay. All right. Mike, you've had a chance to express that frustration, a very strong frustration it is, from Mike in Garangua. Mandla, you're in Boksburg. Good morning.
Good morning, Cathy. I hope you guys are well, and thanks for taking this call. It's on this SACP, ANC standoff, if you like. And I just feel for a guy like Solly Mapaila. If you trace this story back, Cathy, you'll see that the architects of this whole SACP decision to contest elections are now the reasonable guys that are saying, no, we can't do this. They were the radicals at the time, 2007, when this decision was taken, saying so other people have adopted neoliberal policies. The ANC has abandoned the working class, and therefore the party must contest state power. The architects, look at the role players. Look at where Mr. Mandasha is now. He was the national chairperson of the party. Look at where Dr. Nzimande stands on this matter now. He was the general secretary of the party when this decision was taken in 2007. They adopted what they played out to be a radical ideological stand.
Mandla, do you think they're going to follow through on that position, though? Do you not think there's still room for significant backtracking on both sides?
Well, if any backtracking is to take place now, it is going to be because the SACP can see that this is an untenable situation for them. I don't see the SACP surviving post this election, local government election, this round of local government elections, if they proceed to do this thing. Because
have you seen the meetings between the SACP and other organizations? Your Azapo, they were meeting with Irvin Jim also just recently, implying that there could well be something else cooking somewhere.
Well, what does Azapo bring to the table in terms of a constituency? Not much. What does Irvin Jim bring to the table in terms of a voting base? Nothing. He contested for that Socialist Workers Party of his, hoping that NUMSA members were going to go with him. They did not. That party did not get a single seat. So the two that you have at least referred to, Cathy, don't bring much by way of numbers.
Okay.
But to get back to where I am, look at the role players now, if you can. The SACP must hold, in fact, the people of South Africa must hold Mr. Mandashe, must hold Dr. Nzimande, and others who are now projecting themselves to be the moderates, you know, in defense of the alliance. They planted the seeds. They are the architects of this chaos.
Okay, Mandla, thanks for that reflection. JJ in Polokwane, good morning.
First, good morning. Good morning. There is Mike from Garangua who has just spoken. And I think what he said, it cannot be left unchallenged. He may be angry, he may be frustrated, and all those type of things. But I think he must learn to think. And from where I stand, those are the products of Bantu education, of which he is not aware as he speaks. That is a product of Bantu education. And Bantu education was meant to produce the people of his type and his caliber. And that is what the ANC today is fighting with.
What kind of caliber is that, JJ?
He does not think. He speaks.
Well, I thought that Mike made a very clear case for why he was saying what he's saying. And by the way, you can disagree with what he's saying without actually.
I am coming there, Cathy. I'm coming there, and I disagree completely with what he has said.
And that's fine. And JJ, I'm cautioning you here. I'm saying play the ball. Don't play the man, JJ.
You know why I am saying that? It's because he is not playing the ball. Once he says this ANC and he includes me, I am a man, right? He includes me and I don't do what he is saying. So that is to play the man. But the Bantu education says the African child, there is no reason to teach him or her mathematics. And the reason is simple. So that he should not think logically. Because mathematics is part and parcel of logical development.
JJ.
And the platform that
JJ.
he is now. Wait, let me finish, Cathy. Otherwise, I'll
Wrap
finish
up.
your
I've got to
time
go
now.
to Rob. Rob is standing by.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because you're also meandering. You must stop meandering. You must get to the
I'm
point.
I'm not meandering.
I
For
don't.
instance,
I don't
last
want to
week-
say. I don't want to say, JJ, that when you point a finger, my principal always used to say, there are 4 fingers pointing back at you. So I don't want to highlight the ironies of this call.
Yes. Okay,
JJ, bye-bye. Bye-bye, JJ.
Okay.
Rob,
okay.
good morning.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Yeah, thanks to JJ for making way after a bit of a Miranda. Okay, now Joburg's not a bad traffic flow pattern today. Just that Mike, one little bit slow getting up to Greyston and into Santon. Apart from that, the highway's easing very nicely this morning. The run through Midrand looking good as well, coming out of Pretoria all the way down through the Midrand area, flowing nicely. Crossing the Durban, a series of crash scenes on the N2 this morning have been causing some delays. The one coming southbound by Clare Road Bridge looks like it's out of the way. It's just being cleared, so that's good news. There is another crash on the northbound before Spaghetti, and then a broken down vehicle at Spaghetti. So coming up from the M7 through to Westwood Mall, the northbound stays heavy, and into that the N3 backlogs from Pavilion Mall. Just a quick update, there's a lot of change due on that Cliffdale Key Ridge area. The southbound carriageway to Durban will effectively be closed, and traffic from Hammersdale will be moved across onto lanes going on the northbound, if you like. So you'll have contraflow southbound using northbound. Authorities say there will be 2 lanes maintained, but you won't be able to come on as soon as this new program gets underway today, tonight or tomorrow. You won't be able to come onto the N3 south at Peacevale. That's going to be the big change that happens there, and it is loading and it is imminent. Cape Town, very heavy on the way out of town today. This will surprise you. Roadworks at Old Oak Road, just past Durban Road in the Belleville area. Heavy queue from Plattekloof Hill. N1 inbound from Plattekloof through to City Centre stays fairly busy, and a crash on the M5 north at Wetton Road Bridge. And just a reminder, if you've got to go between Tata and Port St John, a series of protests this morning using trucks to blockade that R61. Better idea to travel later today rather than set off between PSJ and Tata this morning. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
It's 8:54. Where do these mornings go? Our time is already up. I can't believe it. All right, we're getting into Built in Msunduzi, our daily feature on South Africans building the solutions we need in this country. This morning we head to Bushbuck Ridge in Mpumalanga, where the Good Work Foundation runs digital learning campuses for school-aged learners, school leavers, teachers, and the whole community. Gemma Thompson is head of development for the Good Work Foundation. Gemma, good morning to you. Thanks for your time this morning. Firstly, take us inside what the work of the Good Work Foundation is.
Good morning, Cathy. It's so lovely to be here with you today, and thanks for choosing GWF to feature. So, Cathy, we run learning programs exactly as you say for children from grade 3 all the way up to school leavers, and we have teacher training programs as well. And our focus really is on deep rural communities. There is such a wealth of incredible young people in these communities, and all they're looking for is an opportunity to learn so that they can then go out into the world and make their mark on it. So we start with grade 3 and do English literacy in schools. We work with a network of about 40 schools. And then at grade 4, the kids come out of their classroom environment and participate in our program on our campuses. And that's where we focus in on English literacy, maths, and digital literacy. And then from grade 5 to grade 8, we start looking a little bit more deeply at conservation and coding and robotics and creative arts, and it's a really holistic curriculum to support the development of those little people. At the school leaver stage, we look at the skills that young people need to be able to enter the marketplace, whether that be to be entrepreneurs or to go off to university and study something, or to move into one of our own career academies, which focus a little bit more deeply on the kind of economies that they can enter up here in Bushbuckridge. So that's predominantly conservation and hospitality. And then we've also got an IT academy. So it's a really robust program. We've got about 14,000 young people going through our programs on an annual basis. And we also have a teacher training program as well, where we work with about 600 local teachers and school principals.
Gemma, this is a significant feat by no stretch of the imagination. Just you working with 40 schools, the network that is significant. The admin it requires to get all of this going is even more significant. How are you able to do it? How have you been able to streamline this model that you are producing more than even what your average universities cannot do?
Yes, you are quite right. It's no mean feat. We have the most incredible team. So we've got about 155 people working at Good Work Foundation. And the interesting thing about them is that about 70% of them are graduates of our programs and have just wanted to come back into the Good Work Foundation world to almost pay it forward and pass it on to the next generation of young people. We have a group of really committed, wonderful funders who support our programs. So those are South African corporates and private foundations. And then we've got the amazing lodges that we work with in the Sabi Sands Nature Reserve. And we've also got some private funders who come in from the US to support our work. So really, we've got it's a whole system, it's a whole community. The school principals are incredible. The community leaders are incredible in supporting our programs. So it's not just our employees that make this system work. It's a network of really invested parties into the young people of this country who need it so much.
If there's one thing, Gemma, that you would want our listeners to walk away with, having listened to this conversation today, what is it? And perhaps you can include there the power of being able to preserve the economies of communities, including the one that you work in.
I would say that there is a wealth of incredible young people in these rural communities, and all they are looking for are opportunities to learn and to grow and actually to contribute back into their communities. And the way to support them would be to support the work that we do, to provide employment opportunities to the young people here, to support the tourism industry in this area, because that's the main source of employment. And really, if people are interested in finding out more about our programs, they can visit our website. It's goodworkfoundation.org. Or they can get in touch with me directly.
Gemma Thompson, Head of Development at the Good Work Foundation. Let me thank you so much for coming onto the show, and congratulations on the significant work that you are doing out in Bushbuckridge. Did you hear that? 14,000 learners pass through the variety of programs that they offer for that region. And that's why that economy is self-sustaining, right? He talked about the sabi that they work with. I need to get a bonus at the end of this year so that I can go to the Kruger National Park, go and visit Sabi. That's where we come to the end of the show on the National Briefing today. We're back with you again tomorrow between 6 and 9 o'clock. Up next is the Daily Discourse. Thank you, as always, for being in company with us.
Cathy Mohlahlana on the National Briefing.
In our top stories, City Power places supply chain manager on precautionary suspension, and Advocate Behari's appeal to stop his disciplinary process dismissed. Good morning. Johannesburg City Power has placed Tabang Mashishi, a manager in the supply chain division, on precautionary suspension with immediate effect pending investigations. This relates to media reports and allegations lodged by a whistleblower into acts of misconduct and extortion involving current and former City Power contractors. The power utility has also confirmed that Marvin Bayepi, the General Manager for Research and Development, remains on suspension in connection with a separate case. It's alleged that senior City Power officials allegedly extorted over 2 million rand from the whistleblower, who's also contracted to the power utility. City Power spokesperson Isaac Mangena.
These steps form part of our ongoing efforts to root out corruption, enforce accountability, and also protect the integrity of City Power. Over the past year, we have intensified our efforts to address wrongdoing, including cases of suspected collusion and price fixing between employees and contractors. This has resulted in number of suspensions and dismissals, and also the termination of relationships with some of the implicated service providers. We remain firm in our stance that there is no place for corruption or unethical conduct within City Power.
The Western Cape High Court has dismissed an urgent application by suspended City of Ekurhuleni Head of Legal and Risk Services, Advocate Kemi Behari, to stop the city from instituting disciplinary proceedings. The court dismissed his application due to an ongoing internal disciplinary hearing and his suspension following allegations of misconduct. Behari appeared at the Matlanga Commission, where it emerged that he failed to take action against suspended and now arrested Ekurhuleni Metro Police Deputy Chief Julius Mkwanazi. Tabiso Khadebe reports.
Behari was suspended last year in December following a council resolution. In his agent application, he was seeking to interdict the city of Ekurhuleni from continuing with an internal disciplinary hearing, which he contended he should have instead be referred to the South African Local Government Bargaining Council for pre-dismissal arbitration in terms of Section 188A11 of the Labour Relations Act. The court dismissed his application with the cost.
A 29-year-old man has been taken in for questioning after police recovered 3 bodies burnt beyond recognition in a bushy area of Hazy View in Mpumalanga. Provincial Police spokesperson Mavele Masondo says police are investigating 3 cases of murder.